ready? Let's do it.
No.
Should we start like that? We're gonna get fucking copyrighted.
Bro, straight up.
Isn't it like 10 seconds or more?
No, it's copyright anytime, but you can say that you're using it to learn. It's an educational
research.
Entertainment purposes.
All right, clink, clink. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Long distance cheers.
Yeah.
I can reach you though. I can reach you though.
Up. Can you guys hear me in the mic right now?
Mm-hmm.
Is it clear actually?
Yes.
I can't. I don't have headphones on.
Let me see the. Here we give some props here to Standard Proof Whiskey Company in Nashville. My good buddy Scotty recommended this stuff when I was in Nashville.
You gotta hold on a second.
Yeah.
We haven't started yet.
Fuck.
That was really good.
No, that was
I'm gonna
really
put that
good.
as like
Oh
a
my God.
read in the middle of it, like a 30-second spot.
Yeah, bro, I got wet.
All right. Good night, everybody, and welcome to the Guys Night podcast. We're about to get this kicked off, and as you can see, we're in our typical standard attire. No, really, this is how we dress on an everyday basis. This has nothing to do with the Halloween party. Well, we're going to kick it off, introducing it to my right. I am Will McEwen, and I am here with...
King Arthur, King of the Britons. Glad to be here.
I'm a Templar. You know, God wills it.
And I am Optimus Prime. Leader of the Autobots. No. I'm Les. Back for another shit show. We'll see what we can get into tonight.
Cool. I'm Andrew. I'm dressed as the Dark Knight, because obviously.
I said I was going to fight if you did that.
It's a great time.
I straight up said I was going to fight you if you were a Black Knight. I swear to God. I straight up said it.
We ain't go nowhere. We can't be stopped now because it's Black Boys for Life.
Whoa, you can't say that.
Why'd you look
Never
at me
know
when you
R's
said
in
that?
that.
Yeah, you said it with a hard R somehow.
Look, somehow my chain just broke when I said that.
See, that's my ancestors.
That is not a Diddy chain.
That is my ancestors telling you to take that shit off.
Are they doing it with cheap plastic?
It's actually metal. It's bling, but all right.
Well, that worked out really well.
That did.
Glad everybody could be here tonight. We are going to be heading on to a little Halloween shindig, so we figured why not show up to the Guys Night podcast dressed as knights. As you can see, we're all doing really well at it.
It's amazing what we can do from the dollar store.
Other than getting really ripped tonight, I think the other plan is we're going to talk some conspiracy theories. Am I right?
Full Alex Jones, bro. I'm screaming into the mic about frogs being gay.
Frogs
Straight
are
up.
gay. They're putting it in the water.
No, they're super gay, yeah.
I thought more the Holocaust was fake, but you know, that's fine.
Bro.
God, please
No,
do not
bro,
say
Israel
that.
is going to send a freaking drone strike.
Gonna have
on us,
to edit
bro.
that shit out.
Yeah, just skip right over that, man.
Also, let's not call anybody tonight either.
Well, let's not call anybody crying tonight.
Mistakes
There
were
we go.
made.
Yeah.
Mistakes were definitely made.
It's more if I want to hear a woman lie, I can go talk to her in person than call her.
I was thinking that I was gonna record that sound bit, keep that sound bit, and use it for later, for sure.
What, the anti-Semitic one?
What's that?
The
no, the one where
anti-Semitic
she
one?
actually picked up the phone.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That was funny.
All right, well, who wants to lead something off? I'm taking this damn helmet off before I fucking crush myself.
Oh, bro, it's only been like 30 seconds. Is that like real time? How much you last? Like this, the helmet? You
No,
know?
I'm good for 20.
That's
Oh,
a
hell yeah.
conspiracy theory.
The extra 10
right there.
seconds, dude, not good.
Oh no, we should call Nina.
We should definitely not call it, you know.
No
Keep the
names.
streak alive. You know?
No
You ever hear,
names.
speaking
No
of
names.
10 seconds or 20-second jokes, did you ever hear the joke? I think it was Ron White, I can't remember, but where he's like, my wife's always complaining about how long, or if she doesn't get off or whatever, and he's like, I'm like 4,000-0. I always get off. She's like batting 20%. That's not my fault.
Sounds like something Ron would say.
So what do you guys think the number one conspiracy theory is out there? Number one, top of the list.
I just looked at
9/11.
the damn computer. Oh,
I would say that birds aren't real, that they're government drones.
That's a good one.
they're not real.
It's definitely
Those are good. Those are good ones. But
Oh, the
Several-
moon landing was a little.
moon landing is universally number one conspiracy theory of all time. aside from Jesus. But anyway,
Hey, leave David out of this.
Danny
right?
is not here.
I mean,
to
I'm sorry,
defend
Danny.
his
My bad.
religion.
When I smite you, you know why it's coming.
can't
God
wait.
wills it. God wills it.
Heresy. But not the
So
moon
who-
landing one was really interesting though, because like at first I'm just kind of like, I mean, I'm still like, okay, we more than likely landed on the moon. If not, then since then we absolutely had to have, like, come on. But when you look at like the video of the original moon landing, like it is pretty shifty. It's really like concerning looking.
70 years old video. Though.
Yeah, of the moon.
Yeah.
So like I'll give you.
Astronauts jumping out of a spaceship.
Well, you know how they filmed Neil Armstrong coming off the ship, and they said he was the first man on the moon.
GoPro.
Yeah, because they had those in the suits. Yeah.
Well, he could have been the first one
It was
off to
filmed.
set the camera up, and then they really did it for posterity.
Mystery solved.
Done. Not a
Selfie
conspiracy.
Yeah.
Wait,
I mean-
wait. What's in your fucking ear, Lester?
Cotton ball because I have an ear infection.
New conspiracy theory.
Ear infections are contagious.
He just didn't want to hear that half of the table.
All right,
What?
we're gonna get real close, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah,
good.
love you, bro.
I'm into it.
Hell yeah.
Dark meat.
Hey, Will also dates black.
He got fact check on that one.
Oh my god, that was the worst.
Definitely call Nina again on that one.
My favorite part about the moon landing conspiracy, though, is honestly, and it's why I don't believe in it. Is it would be a literally 2,000 IQ level move to try to bankrupt the USSR by faking the moon landing, so they would actually put resources into it. And honestly, our government leaders are not that smart. There's no way in hell they planned that.
Well, didn't Reagan lie about like the space lasers and Star Wars program?
What happened to Space Force, actually?
It's still a
It's
little.
It's a
in
great
the
Netflix
works.
series.
We ain't doing nothing with it.
I mean, I don't think they're doing much because nobody's putting any money into it right now. We'd
Yeah.
much rather send that money to Ukraine and everywhere else. I mean,
They basically
conspiracy.
shifted all of the Air Force's anything space related over to that, and they did finally decide on a headquarters. It's in Colorado. Like part of it's here at Wright Pat, but yeah, I don't know. That's one of those things where I think I said this on a previous podcast where like our most powerful weapons are probably no longer nuclear weapons, or they're the ability to put them, a million light years away from here.
well, you mentioned like how do we know the moon landing wasn't real, or we didn't come up with it to bankrupt Russia? But realistically, what if it was just us just cheating to say we won? Like,
I wouldn't put it past us.
It's a pissing contest. I mean,
Sounds
Yeah,
like
why
something
haven't
good.
we gone back since?
First of all,
That's
a win's
the
a win.
question.
Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls under very suspicious circumstances. If we win, we win. I don't care how we do it.
Tom Brady gets away with a lot of shit.
yeah, there's that one thing he did.
You know what he's dressed up as today as?
Tom
A
Brady.
cheetah.
Oh my god, I was gonna say a single
Got
father,
him.
but that too. Nice.
all right, we need to drink more. This is a fucking really boring episode. So
Wow, brother. It's been
Oh,
like
you're
2
welcome.
seconds. Man.
You're welcome for the
It's been like 2 seconds, my
I
guy.
was trying to entertain you. This is all about you.
Hey, you want to talk about how we actually don't know what's in the Earth's core?
Yeah, I would love to talk about
We
that.
we genuinely
have no fucking
dinosaurs.
clue.
We genuinely have no clue.
Essentially, everything we talk about, what we know, is an estimated guess based off of some data,
Yeah.
but it's a guess.
Right.
It's like you ever listen to Rogan always has him on podcast, but he just came out with the second season of the Netflix series. It's like Graham.
Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
Voice of the Gods or whatever the hell that book is that he made.
Yeah,
and he
it's
made
like-
a bunch of them, but yeah.
Yeah, and his whole thing is like we had a civilization that was on this planet before us that was more advanced, and that's to explain some of the things like let's talk about conspiracy theories, like the fucking how the pyramids were built, and the
Yeah.
fact that there's pyramid style buildings that are even older than the pyramids
Yeah.
in Egypt and shit. And it's like you're making. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the idea that he's actually considering other options rather than the whole thing against him is like everybody just wants to be like, oh, you're wrong.
Or
Right.
aliens.
You know, and that's really the fact that in this world that we literally tell scientists that are exploring other ideas that they just can't talk anymore, which is essentially what happens to them. But the idea that there was a civilization before us that was as maybe obviously they have iPhones and MacBooks and shit like that, but like they had the technology to build, to trade, do all these different things.
Right.
Like, how is it not possible that is absolutely. I mean, now that we have proof that humans are 20 to 25,000 years old or
Yeah,
something
because
like
they
that.
found one of the things that I know was a huge discovery that they found out, like the Sphinx statue in Egypt, they found water damage on the top of the Sphinx, which means that instead of, you know, like the most recent like intelligent civilization being maybe like 15 or so thousand years ago, for it to fully go through the process of draining that area, that means that that area was like rich with, you know, plant life or an ocean or et cetera, et cetera. That would date it back to like 35,000 plus to 50,000 years to where that was built. So now everything that we thought we know about Sphinx in terms of like when that was made, it's pushed way, 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 way back.
Well, and that's something else that you hear, like guys. Once again, the name escapes me, but he's been on a podcast. He talks about the Sahara Desert used to be like fucking vast green, like rivers flowing, like water levels up, and like people are like, "Oh, that's not even possible." But like when I was in Greece, you know, you've obviously everybody's seen the movie 300.
I've also seen the movie Grease. Amazing.
I got chills.
But you know, you go to where the site is for the Battle of Thermopylae, which is the big war that happens at the end of the movie. It's right on the coastline. Well, now the coastline is like 10 fucking miles from there. Yeah. Like it's a vast desertous area. Like there's water nowhere near site. Like you would never think it was like this great place of battle. Like, and I mean, shit happens over time, right? Over thousands of years, the landscape of the world changes based off of the different things that happen in a sense of weather or storms and things like that, and stuff shifting. Goodness grief.
Words are hard, bro.
Yeah. I barely speak English.
Takes another drink, by the way.
Yeah.
Immediately after fucking that up. He's like, no, let's go fucking like balls deep into this fucking bottle right here.
Yeah, we're gonna take this down.
Yeah.
David, why don't you tell us about the bottle that we have tonight?
Oh, yeah. So tonight's bourbon is brought to us by the fine folks at Standard Proof Whiskey and Baby Oil.
Johnson Johnson.
No, actually, it's not Johnson Johnson. It's Amazon Basics. I went cheap,
Nice.
but I got it by the truckload. Anyway, so Texas pecan bourbon there. My buddy Scotty recommended that. It's pretty tasty. I don't know. What do you guys think so
I
far?
like it.
It's
I like it a
smooth.
lot.
Yeah, it's
Thanks,
real
Scotty.
smooth. Yeah, Scotty, friend of the show.
We should have him on and get him in town. He's pretty interesting cat.
Right on. All right, well, so obviously we barely touched the base of the moon landing. So who thinks the moon landing is real?
I'm gonna say so. I'm going to say that it was real. I'm just gonna say it looks wonky as fuck. Full stop. But it's probably real.
All right, so let's look at excuses on why you don't think it's real. One, obviously the video.
Yeah, the shadows.
The shadows moving around in the video.
Real weird.
Footage. How about the fact that and you can go into other stuff too, like we haven't been back.
That's a big one.
Not even
We've been in
close.
orbit.
No.
Not even close.
But like not back.
right.
Because of the moon monsters. That's what
Yeah,
we're doing.
and there's nothing there.
Other than
well,
trillions of dollars or trillions and
Yeah.
trillions of dollars of fucking
And
minerals
then,
that would
yeah,
help
rare
the fucking
Exactly.
world.
And the Nazis. The Nazis are there. I've seen the movie.
But that's one of the more compelling arguments as to like, you know, why it's probably not real. Because once again, the only thing that will motivate these old fucks in office is money.
Sure.
And if there's really as much money in the moon as we say there is, why have we not tried to excavate it? I mean, like, and then there's also the rabbit hole of, well, the moon greatly affects, you know, like our ecosystem, like greatly. So I mean, they don't believe in global warming enough to believe in, you know, really lock down and like take care of it. But also, maybe they would stop at the moon. I don't know. But with the amount of money in it, I feel like they'd go for it anyway, honestly.
The thing is, though, like the Russians supposedly never got there, and they just gave up. They're like, oh, the U.S. got there, nothing special. We're just gonna not try to go up there again.
Yeah.
And nobody else tried either. I mean, come on. There's got to be something about, and you hear things too, like there's like a radiation field that like we can't even really get through. Nobody's been through, and somehow they went through it 70 years ago and were able to communicate back to Earth and be like, one small step for man, one giant step for mankind. Okay, but how did we get through that? Like, there's no data on that. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna look that up while one of you guys talks.
Well, when did you see those videos of the astronauts that actually went up there and they like give subtle hints? So he's like, "Hey, yeah, we were never there," and I don't know if those are real videos or not. But like, what was his name? Neil Armstrong.
Yeah.
I
That's
don't remember. My history's a little bit sketchy, but he was like on film this one time saying, "Oh, we were never there," and they're like, "Oh, you're joking around." You kept catching me with your fucking metal shit.
Easy, guys.
It's because
Easy,
I have
guys.
actual metal. It's not my fault. You're cheap.
Yo, that's
Ow,
crazy.
bro, dude. Ouch.
We are family.
If this sword was real.
How would you have cut your dick off like 4 times?
Yeah, I
Because it's
know.
set between your legs.
Skipped out on the sword too. I didn't.
Oh,
So the technology argument is my argument for this. Like, yeah, the simple fact of we don't go back, but you look at just communication, right? We can pull out our smartphone right now and we can have a video conference with people anywhere on the planet and see their face and talk to them and everything, right? So the advancement in technology has just been quantum leap after quantum leap. But yet today, right now, if our life depended on getting to the moon, we can't do it today, right now.
Elon probably could.
He probably could.
I think he just doesn't. I don't think he's interested. But I think if there was a way to get there, he wouldn't. So all right. So here's this.
Does he have a rover on like Mars or something?
Yeah, he wants to go to Mars.
Yeah, definitely wants to go to Mars.
That's fair though.
That self-landing rocket.
All right. So this guy's got a PhD from the University of Melbourne. And he goes, if
Could
you
go
were,
somewhere in America.
he said, if you were informed, you would know that the Van Allen belts, which are are impervious to humans, are not a complete shell around Earth. Apollo missions were directed through the thinner parts of the outer belt and at high speed and missed the inner belt completely to minimize the time within the belts. And so exposure, which is cumulative. Other probes heading to the moon are to be able to be shielded more strongly and to take more direct and leisurely path. This saves fuels. So 70 years ago, we knew that there was this belt of radiation around the Earth, and there was only one spot to like get through it. Like, bro, people didn't even know where the G spot was 70 years ago.
We don't know where that is now, bro.
What's the Jesus?
I still get lost on the map. Like, huh, what?
Hey, listen, as much as people shit on Pokemon, all right, just look up the picture of Cloyster. It'll help.
With the G spot or the cool?
Are we still talking about a moon landing?
That's right. Will is 4001. We know this.
So Google for the kids at home. Google Cloyster.
How you
Pokemon.
spell that?
No.
Yes.
Also Google G-Spot.
Because we all hope that kids are watching this
Okay,
show.
first of all, only do that with your parents' permission or if you're 18 or older.
Yeah. And to the kids that are listening, your dad's cool as shit. I mean, he's going through a phase right now. He's probably in his mid 50s or something. He's going through it. Give him a hug. But probably shouldn't be listening to this shit.
Look as David sits down there in his 50s, dressed as P. Diddy with baby oil.
That's right.
Having sex with 20-year-olds.
With baby oil.
Ooh.
What's wrong with that?
Nice. Hey, I didn't say there's anything wrong
Man
with
is
it.
living the dream.
Hey.
Which one, Diddy or David?
Well, Diddy got caught.
Diddy's
long-
probably.
as long as I don't end up in prison.
Pause. What was that? So David hasn't gotten caught yet.
Yet.
Plead the fifth.
Oh God.
Allegedly.
By like week 10, we're gonna have absolutely people listening to this show being like, we can put these guys in jail.
Yeah, like what the fuck were they saying back in episode 5?
That brings me to the next conspiracy theory. The Illuminati and Templars. David's definitely a part of that. Guaranteed.
I
He's
wish
too cool
David
for
was.
that,
If
yeah.
David was part of the Illuminati, that'd be the coolest fucking thing.
We're all fucked already.
Let's go.
We're all
We're in. Hopefully we're in. Like, dude, we invited you to the podcast, bro. The Illuminati should be our best fucking friends at this point.
Yeah, we made that joke.
The real reason why I brought the baby oil here.
Let me move over the other way, actually. I got an ear infection on one side. I got fucking Diddy over here. Jeez, man.
Yeah, I don't know about the Illuminati. My wife was like all about it, like done all the research on it. She could talk about the Illuminati for days, like who's in it, who's not, who's relevant. Jay-Z and Beyonce are the king and queen. Fucking MGK started to find his way towards the dark side, and then it got a little too hectic, and now he's trying to wander his way back. I do believe that there's absolutely a powerful entity of people
There's gotta
that
be.
have fucking unlimited resources and money and are able to control some crazy shit.
They had that, goodness gracious, it was what, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, where they had the Great Reset, where they had that economic forum where they were talking about we can use COVID to do a massive reset upon our economies and reestablish things where we wish them to be. I don't remember the gentleman's name, but it was a big thing. Now, whether true or accurate or not, it was greater than the level of people talking about Project 2025. So it was But it was an actual statement he made. Now, whether the intentions were what people were claiming them to be or not, I don't know. But I remember that was being a massive conspiracy theory.
The Great Reset. There was actually a book by Alex Jones on the Great Reset, and I tried like hell to read it this week actually because I was
Alex
kind
Jones,
of
he can write.
no,
He can
somebody
read
voice to text.
somebody else's voice for sure. I was kind of disappointed. I would actually listen to him rant for fucking 3 hours reading his own book.
The water's turning the frogs gay.
They don't want you to know this, but the ducks at the pond in the parks, they're free. You can take all of them.
But like the Great Reset, like I do believe that there is some kind of form of reset hope happening already. Hopefully it doesn't involve nuclear war.
Oh, you mean that like 80-year block thing?
Yeah, you know, there's other ones out there too, like the internet. Could you imagine if the internet shut off?
Dude, oh
Thank
my god.
God.
See,
Bro,
so that's why I
that
say,
would fuck
you know how
the
people
world
like
up.
shit on furries, right? A lot.
Yeah.
I will be the one
Like
person that,
literally, or like,
I mean, if you're into that, listen, whatever happens between two consenting adults is none of my business. But there are so many furries that are in like the tech industry. If like a furry convention like gets blown up, God forbid, we're all going dark. Like,
How do you know?
God wills it.
brother,
Dude.
I go to anime conventions. If you ask any of them
As
what
a
they fucking
furry,
do,
or
yeah. No, but like a lot of them go to anime conventions and shit. Like if you ask any of them what they fucking do, it's something in tech.
Oh,
And
I'm
plus
sure.
those suits are fucking expensive as shit.
They are.
Like it's crazy expensive.
What do you need a suit for? You got furry right up on top here.
That's racist.
That's Evan. Have you seen Evan? I wish he was here right now.
Evan is a
Yeah,
furry.
Evan is
Oh,
a
yeah.
furry for sure.
No, wouldn't he be a bear technically?
He would definitely
Yeah.
be.
Have you seen
Honestly,
him with his shirt off? He's a
Dude,
bear.
why did you see his shirt off?
You
Fucking
wouldn't know if it was
Neanderthal.
off. It just looks like
Yeah,
another shirt. under there.
Again, I've brought baby oil.
They call it a diaper suit, or what is it? Something like that.
So conspiracy theory: if Evan came out of the closet, I wouldn't be surprised.
That's not a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, that's fair. That's just kind of normal shit. My bad. We're just off.
I-
we all know him.
I would
We're just
expect
aware, you
Sean before that, but way before.
Are we using names?
We've
Yeah, why not?
completely.
See, I at least used somebody that was on the podcast. I'm just saying.
But you still call them out?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't care. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. Moving
Oh yeah,
on.
I've said this to
Julie
his
now.
face. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay. I mean, that's why I said it's funny because
Hearsay.
my
I'll
wife
tell
will be
Sean
like, do you know you said this, or do you know you said this on the podcast? And I'm like, well, what hour was that? It's like the last 27 minutes. Is like, don't
Doesn't-
even remember.
Doesn't count.
Yeah. none of that shit
Argued
happened.
for 20 minutes about what I didn't say about dating a black woman, and she's like, push play. I'd date a black woman.
Drunk Will is a totally different person. He does not count.
I mean, he's just having a good time.
Usually shows up in the later part of the podcast.
Well, isn't that what guys' night is though? Like, it's funny because I started to send a text to her and like, you know, like you take that as that part of your brain sometimes that tells you like probably not a good idea. So I didn't send it, but I'm gonna say it out loud now, so I'll hear about it later. But it was like that text where I was like you always say like, oh, why do you guys need guys' night, or why do you have to be out with your boys, and like why can't I go? And I was like, you know what? Sometimes you just gotta let your freak shit fly, and like just say some shit that's off the cusp that you're completely joking about, having a good time. It's funny, like that. You got an inside source. You got to hear about it. And unfortunately, you live with me, so you get to ask me about it. I was like, but that's the kind of shit that people say, and like they don't fucking mean anything by it. It's just funny. Yeah. And yeah, you turned it into a thing, which it happens. Whatever. She's over it now. But
It's over now.
the worst part was when I tried to deny it. I was like, I didn't say that, and like we're arguing in the kitchen. Like I think you got it out of context. And then she's like, play, and I'm like, yeah, I date a black chick. Oops.
Well, I think the best thing about guys' night is just, I mean, we kind of touched it on dating on the last podcast. Please
No
tune
women.
in to see that. Well, no, yes, but there is a level of emotional vulnerability you can be around guys with your actual friends, not just random dudes, but like actual guys that they'll give you grace and they'll give you shit about it, but you know it's all in love and with good intention that you cannot show around women because women will rip you up for it, kind of deal with expectations.
Well, yeah, because I'm not trying to fuck you, so I don't give a shit if you like cried watching Marley and Me.
You
Yeah.
keep sending me random texts that make me think otherwise, my guy. I don't know about that.
No, that's a TikTok. Oh. My fingers were crossed behind my back when I said hit the send button. It didn't count. It didn't count.
I told my parents about us.
So another conspiracy theory. Everybody on this podcast is secretly trying to fuck me because that's like 4 episodes in a row I've been here where someone said something along those lines.
I am
Well, I'm gonna hit
absolutely
the old
not on
dusty
that.
tray.
I'm definitely not on that one.
Will's overcompensating
As
right
far as conspiracy theories, if we want to get back to it, I think global warming is a conspiracy
now.
theory.
Really?
Yeah,
Wait, so do you
100%.
also believe that the government's got a weather button somewhere?
No, I do believe that. I mean, obviously, you hear things that they talk about in Dubai as far as like being able to create rain out of the clouds and stuff like that. I do believe there's some technology that's involved in that does allow them to do some crazy shit. Do I believe that they can just fucking create a hurricane or tornado to wipe out a small town? No.
That's a lot.
Do I believe that they?
I do. I do.
We'll hear about that. But I do believe though that they can adjust resources. They can create things. They can make it more difficult to rebuild certain areas regarding like for Hawaii. All right. How long ago was Hawaii? Does anybody know?
Like 2 years.
2 years. People still aren't allowed to build on their land. Supposedly it won't pass inspection, right? And it's still,
Hazardous zone.
right, because of like one gas station that was burned up in the area. So do I think that's is there a conspiracy that says like, is the government just trying to find a way to steal land from the locals that have been in had that land for generations and generations? Sure.
I mean, we'll look at it now with literally FEMA, what's going on with that, with how much they're taking advantage and how they're denying people to go down for actual help with them that people want to do privately.
Well, and so I thought that was all bullshit, but when, like I said, my friend that's in Hawaii, lives in Maui, he's been there for generations. Like he told us, like they were not allowing them. There was a surplus of supplies that they were not allowed to just walk up and be like, "Hey, I need this." Like it was a issue. Like it was like it wasn't like going to vote because anybody could go do that. But it was,
Even dead
My
people
God.
plays
but it
right.
was like it's like it's like going to get your driver's license. You need like 2 proofs of address. You need a state ID. You need this. You're going to get a passport. Like it was a big deal to go get aid from these areas. So I do think the government does do some things like that to make things difficult on people based off of whatever agenda they're trying to pass. And I'm not just saying like, oh, it's only to keep them from preventing, from running or voting an election, or it's this or it's that. It depends on the scenario, whether they want to steal the land, whether they want to keep a section of the land or people from voting or from taking part in an election. That might be even a local scenario, right? Like, oh, we don't want these people to be able to change the way that we're trying to develop this or develop that. So let's just put them on their fucking asses for fucking, a couple months while we figure this out. I don't think that they can create hurricanes and tornadoes. Once again, going back to the conspiracy theory of global warming, when you look at the facts, most of the facts that they try to throw in front of your face as far as when it comes to global warming, how it's such a severe impact and it's something we need to be concerned about, is either made up or has justification to it. Like, oh, they're not talking about the speeds of hurricanes. They're not talking about the size of hurricanes. They talk about the damage of hurricanes. Well, if you ransacked and destroyed a house in 1950 versus destroying a house in 2024, do you think there would be more damage or less damage based off of the cost and value of things overall between then and now?
Oh, in terms of a dollar amount.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be because of inflation, cost of things
Well, it's not
today.
just-
It's way up there.
And technology, right?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, you look at this studio that we have set up there. Like, this wasn't in someone's basement in 1945,
No.
right? So,
I mean,
like,
unless they're time travel.
does that
Another
talk-
conspiracy theory.
I would love time travel. But you talk about that when they talk about like storms and the damage they do, they always talk in dollar amounts.
Yeah.
See, I don't see that a whole lot more than I see what they've mainly been saying is words are hard, bro. The power and frequency of hurricanes, like how we just had some back to back, literally like this past month or
That
so.
was 3 in a row, right?
Yeah,
Back-to-back World War champs. People.
yeah,
Let's
and the
go.
fact that it jumped up in way quick of a time span than what it used to have. So like it went from like a category like 1 to like a 4 or 5 or something like that in a very short amount of time that we haven't seen before.
But
So-
that's like typical of a hurricane. Like where it's at and where it develops depends on how it's done, right?
True, but it'll jump up from like maybe a couple points or something. But for it
Couple
to,
of points. You mean like
yeah,
tier 1, tier 2,
Yeah,
tier
couple
3.
points.
Dude, they all start out
Couple
as
points.
tropical storms and develop into actual like.
Well, yeah, no shit.
3
That's
or
how a
4 or
hurricane
5.
starts. Yeah.
But they dissipate usually by the time they hit land to a certain degree, which this last one did. I've got family that's out there in Tampa, and like one, it just barely missed Tampa, and two, like it dissipated down to a 3 versus a 5. But hurricanes have always happened. The difference, part of the other difference in that too is we didn't have as many people on Earth 20 years ago. So when we say like, oh, there's more hurricanes, no, there's just hurricanes in places that weren't fucking like engulfed with people. Like, you know what I mean? Now you have a lot more people. They're all over the place. They're building in places that they didn't build in, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And so now those hurricanes are bigger deals.
Yeah, see, I don't know. See, I'll agree with the scientists on that one for global warming. Just because, once again, like you see, yeah, sure, there's more people here. But I once again, personally haven't seen anybody defend or I guess bring to light global warming and tie that to, the density of the population and the amount that it gets damaged in that hurricane. Like it's usually, once again, like, the ice caps are melting. There's areas where there's a lot more greenhouse gases than others. Once again, there are places that are warming up a lot faster, a lot more often than they should be, and places that are cooling down where they shouldn't be as well. But yeah, no, I don't know about the hurricane thing.
All right, so it's stormfacts.com.
Stormfacts.com.
Sounds legit.
Not even an order.
It's the Stormfacts Weather Almanac. Okay.
Can we go to a .gov because I believe our government's so much.
So in 2023, there is, let's see, how's this read out? There's 20 named storms, which obviously that doesn't mean shit, but there's 7 hurricanes, 3 major. Okay. In 2020 was the biggest year, is 14 hurricanes, 7 major. Now, if I go back to 1969, there was 12 hurricanes, 5 major. If I go to 1950, 11, 5 major, 8 the next year, 5 major. I mean, you can go back. This goes back all the way to, God, this goes way back, 1851. So I'm sure the monitoring system in the Caribbean was really good back then.
Can I make a request for the next lookup that could coincide with this? Is actual global temperatures over the last 20 years?
Well, over the last 20 years, they really haven't changed at all. Over the last 100, they've changed by like 1 degree.
Because this goes back to global warming, because we had for engineering ethics, we had actually they gave us the, hey, do you believe in global warming or not? Defend your answer. It doesn't matter. We won't tell you how to do it. And that's one of the things that it was based on, was the effects of over the last 20 years. You're right, it hasn't changed, and if it has, it's increased a minuscule amount overall. So,
well, and it's also like, I don't know. You guys know who Stephen Koonin is? Stephen Koonin. He's a scientist. Worked for BP for 5 years, which is why he gets a lot of slack. But even when you hear like a lot of the stuff that he said, like, as far as global warming, like, first of all, like we are looking at our lifetime is so long. Like we're saying, in the last 100 years or in the last 200 years. But he's like, let's not forget, like, humans been around for like 20,000 years. So like over 20,000 years, the ocean level's raised by 400 or 500 feet. We're worried about it raising like 2 inches over the last 25 to whatever 50 years it is. So like, we use these data points in order to like scare, people. Yes, do more people affect the population? Do more people put carbon in the atmosphere? Sure. But you also have countries that, like, for instance, for us, our level of is only like 14% of the world's greenhouse gases. So what are you going to do? Like, no matter what you do from one country to the other, like, there's always going to be, and there's different reasons, right? Agriculture is the number one reason. So we talk about how we're going to have electric cars and that's going to make the world better, or we're going to do this and that's going to make the world better. Like, the number one reason other than agriculture is power in general, whether it's electric, whether it's all those different factors affect global warming or greenhouse gases in a much higher level.
Well, the one thing we saw that actually had a drastic effect, and we don't know actually to what end it was actually arguing for, was the Arctic ice. It was not reduction. It was one of the ones that would be reduced over a season, because they do have a cold in summer season. Actually reduced more than you would expect, but also during the cold season, it increased more on the actual mass of what you consider land mass or area for that. So that's the only thing that actually we even saw that was even a drastic comparison over the past 20 years when, during people's industrial revolutions and all the explanations of, China and India and all the things they've been dumping. So as far as temperature rising and change and fluctuations, we haven't seen a lot. It's the only thing we've really seen, at least ocean-wise, has been up in the Arctic, and even then they don't really understand what the data is giving them. And it could even be argued with the fact that really it's not for global warming, it's just a cycle we're going through.
Well, carbon's the biggest, right? Everybody talks about like burning clean fuel, coal mines, things like that, and carbon's the leading provider of that concern. But then actually things that we think are bad, like aerosol sprays, and they actually slow the effects of greenhouse gas by like 50%. Like because they put like a cover, basically a haze over the world, right? So like there's different things that happen that are going to affect it in one way. What are you going to say?
Hairspray, ladies, you're saving the environment. For the two of you that listen to this podcast, like, we know who you are.
Nina and Casey, we appreciate you too.
No names, people.
Whoa, we're giving a shout out to our patrons.
Yeah, of course. There's two of them. We got to make sure that they get
There's actually
shout
technically
outs.
there's three. I lied.
Oh yeah, you also listen to the podcast too, right?
So let's assume that all of everything that's being reported on global warming is real. All right. Really, what the fuck do you think us as U.S. human beings be able to do anything about it?
Jesus. Sorry, guys.
The hell is going? You're a Neanderthal down there.
I know, just fucking banging
Bench
shit around.
press a pickup truck. They can't read the label or something. Do pickup trucks have labels? I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yeah, of course.
VIN numbers.
They have lots of labels,
license
actually.
plate, yeah.
Yeah.
Glove box, inside the door, and then obviously you have like
Danny can't even
branding.
read. Why would he say that? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't even speak English.
I mean, I'm impressed that he learned as much English as he has since he fucking ran across the border.
or Ale
swam.
Holmes.
Or
that's
swam.
crazy.
I've seen him run. It's not very fast.
The
I've
best
seen
part
him
is that
waddle.
here he can't even defend himself.
We love you. We love you so much.
We could call him or her.
No, let's definitely not call him. You can call his sister if you want.
Hey Danny, we miss you.
Anyway, so what do we really think that we as human beings or even Americans can do about it, right? Because there's over 8 billion people on the planet, and all the manufacturing is offshore. It's not even here, so we're nowhere near. Here's my biggest fear of the global warming thing. I think it's potentially pretext for the wars we fight in the future. Because if we go green and we're driving around in Teslas, but we can't fucking charge them when it's not sunny out or not windy outside. And, because it doesn't make any sense to charge a Tesla with coal-powered electric plants out
Yeah, I
there,
never
right?
got that either. That shit
So,
made no
but
sense.
we know that Pakistan, China, wherever the fuck Mo's from. Oh, Pakistan, sorry.
No.
India.
Yeah, any of those
That's just what
places,
Danny
like
said.
they're not gonna change their carbon footprint. Like they're not passing the ridiculous laws like we are, like in California, where they're trying to eliminate gas powered motor vehicle sales after 2035. They're not doing anything like that in other parts of the country.
How great is it that when that got announced, like literally 2 days later, they said, "Don't charge your Tesla."
Remember that? Like
So I actually have inside information for actually both of those things a bit
for Danny or
No, for actually for solar and for added safety practice for India and China kind of deal. So I used to work at a solar company. I won't say names, but essentially with way Biden was pushing it, we were getting an influx of people buying our systems for solar panels and for the solar racking systems. And literally, I remember my boss's boss, the head of the marketing for it, literally said, "Yeah, this isn't efficient at all, and it isn't worth their time to buy it. But as long as they're going to be pushed to buy it, and we're going to get incentives for them to buy it, we're going to sell it." So as you say, like in very few areas, like typically out west Arizona, and like it's sun all the time, yeah, it's worth it. You can get it, but anywhere essentially Midwest or Northeast, like it's just absolutely terrible. That's not worth getting any kind of solar or even wind. I did a senior design project for wind, and there's a reason why they're massive. They're an ecological terror to build just to make those things, and even try to recycle the wind turbines. And the size you have to make them, it takes up more space than anything that would be efficient wise to do it. And as far as safety practices, you're right. People actually because I'm working for a mining company right now, and they even talk about generally miners love to work with us because U.S., Canada actually have safety practices, while India and China, they've talked stringently how with their population, they don't care. Like, they have no safety. As much as we make fun of OSHA, it does save lives most of the time. And that, somebody dies on the job, like their expectations is literally losing 20 to 50 people a year per factory. And that's minimum kind of deal where, if we lose one life, it's unheard of.
So is OSHA preventing us from going green?
No, I was saying OSHA actually, for safety, actually does some good. It tastes awful to say.
Yeah. Take a drink.
Well, I mean, all I'm saying is China doesn't have
Mom,
OSHA
I'm sorry.
on their
Right,
list because
yeah.
it's fully automated. So technically, it does keep us from going green.
Well, it doesn't keep us from going green. The problem is that our economy is based off of sending shit over to China or getting shit from China, right? So we can talk about all we want as far as going green in the United States. Ultimately, for every dollar or for every, I don't know, whatever you want to say, pound square foot of clean air we provide based off of something we do well, like China's over there like multiplying that by 10 with the most poisonous fucking air in the world because they don't give a fuck. Like, they just don't. Like, they're not over there running like programs to better improve. They're not spending billions on this or billions on that. They are literally choosing cheap labor to collect every dollar they can to grow their GDP. So, you want to talk about electric cars, like the way, if there's ever a sign of slavery being allowed in the world, it's the way that the batteries are created and where the cobalt is mined.
Lithium.
Oh yeah, free Congo. By the
No,
way.
cobalt. So cobalt is
both of
mined
those.
out of the Congo.
Yeah.
In
Lithium's
order
in
to
South
Congo.
America, right?
in order to create lithium batteries, right? What was I just saying?
Free Congo.
Free Congo.
Oh God.
Put that in your profile.
No,
See how
but
many days
update
you
your
did.
Tinder.
Free
The
Palestine, yeah.
cobalt is like what makes it work longer, right? I believe is the basis of it, but it's used to create these lithium batteries that go in your cars, that go in your phones, that go in basically everything that you use. And the way that it's mined is off of 100% slave labor.
Yeah, literal slave labor. Like we pay militia groups, and they're somehow, I don't know how they get around that loophole.
Well, it's
But,
all
like,
it's
they-
done in it's almost all of it comes like 80% of the world's cobalt comes from the Congo,
Right.
Right, and so that is essentially run
Congo?
by a
Congo line?
Yeah. So the distributors that we get the cobalt from, they pay these militia groups to go into the Congo and mine for it. But the way they mine for it, they take the locals there, they pillage, rape, do all this other
pay
shit.
them less than $1 a
Yeah,
day.
not even. Some of them don't even get paid. You don't get beat this day if you meet
Don't
your
they have an
quota.
obsession with cutting off arms too?
Yeah, it's
That's
fucked.
what it
Yeah.
is.
I don't know, but if there's actually a great book on it. I read this book probably a year ago now. But the guy literally spent like 5 years going back and forth to the Congo, and like it wasn't uncommon to see a woman with her baby on her back in some shitty ass fucking mine digging by hand.
Yeah, it's fucked.
There a lot of the mines were dug by hand, not spending money on machines, and those workers were taking whatever they mined for the day in some cases, and they would take it to a Chinese guy who ran a Chinese fucking company, and they would deliver it to them, and they would get paid for their day's wages or whatever it was, like minimal money, and it's the epitome of slave labor. Like, there's photos in this book where you see like thousands of people on their hands and knees in next to nothing as far as clothes, digging with their fucking hands and like raw shovels and stuff like that. And that's the same thing that we say we want to invest in our economy and like, oh, we want to go green, go electric, like, but we're not paying attention to the fact that that's happening over there. And then on top of that, a lot of the mines and stuff that are operated with machinery, they don't have any kind of monitoring on what they're emitting and what they're putting out into the world, and like nobody cares. Like, as long as we get our batteries and we get to say we have electric cars, or we get to say we have hybrid cars, we
Feels
act like,
good.
Yeah, we act like we're doing something well. And then when you have a government that comes out there and says like, we're going to make all cars electric, like, do you realize how many lives you're affecting in the area where you're getting it? And we're not asking Apple, we're not even asking Elon Musk, we're not asking them to say, hey, in order to get cobalt from the Congo, which 80%, I'm really confident 80% of the world's cobalt comes from the Congo. We're not over there saying like you have to increase their benefit. Like, you don't have to like give them housing. You don't have to do this. We don't care. We're just getting it cheap.
Or let them run their own fucking country.
Right.
But then we have to pay them.
You're talking about a country that's extremely, what's the word I'm looking for?
Volatile,
It's like Ukraine, like their leadership. It's very
chaotic, volatile.
Corrupt. Corrupt. Thank you. Yeah, it's an extremely corrupt government where they're rich at the top and everybody's poor at the bottom. They don't care about the people, which to me, that's like, hey, whatever they do, what they want to do, that's fine. But at the same point in time, like if there's a way for our country to do something better, like why are we, in order to pay less for this to get it from over there, why are we not able to do things in our own country that could actually be better for the environment than that? And why are we not enforcing those laws on those people over there in order to do business? Hey, you want me to buy this shit from you? You have to pay them a fair wage. You have to give them a place to live, or whatever the case might be. We don't really care. That's why we act like slavery is a big deal, right? Like in this country, everybody's a racist until you're not. You know, we talked about.
No, it's just you five on this podcast with me.
We talk about we made a big deal about BLM. We made a big deal of all these different things, and we talk about how big of a bad of people we are in the United States. Meanwhile, we're literally sitting behind there. These same people that are calling out everybody for being racist and for being all this stuff are creating rules and laws that are allowing slavery to happen in other countries to a worse degree than ever.
And on top of that, we're putting these people in power that are doing that. Like we've instilled so many dictatorships just like under wraps, and there's so much shit that's like been classified.
We instill these dictatorships just by I had an emphasis on dictatorships when I said that. Oh, sorry. We instill dictatorships with our consumption of dollars, right? Because we've got smartphones, we got iPhones, we got Samsung and all that stuff. Like it's not even much of a conspiracy, because we could opt to be carrying flip phones again, but we want smartphones.
The Razor was the best cell phone ever made. Don't fight me on that.
There were there's a phone, I forget the brand, but there's a non-conflict mineral built smartphone out there.
It's
What's
like
that called?
$3,000.
Exactly. So we don't want to pay that much money, but yesterday Biden went on television to apologize to all the Native Americans for things that we did, 100 years ago. Did you guys catch that?
He's still alive? Wait, I honestly did not know he was still alive.
As of the recording of this podcast, he is vertical somehow, I think, by crutches. Or
He
whatever.
ran, bro. He ran. That's the most active I've seen that man.
Yeah. Well, so he went out to the Gila Nation out in Arizona and gave a speech, and very emphatically, like yelling, like, "I'm sorry," as the first American president to issue an apology. I'm sorry, like this.
Bro, he's on his way out. He doesn't give a fuck.
He doesn't know what day of the week it is, but but to that point, so he's apologizing because the way that the states assimilated the Native Americans, and I'm not trying to say that it was okay, but this is something that occurred over 200 years ago, and that's somehow a virtue and an issue today. Like, it was an emotional thing. It was a nice thing that they did, but really, this is what we're concerned about right now, where people can't afford fucking groceries and rent,
including the people that you're apologizing to. And my thing is, if you want to really help them out, do something about it. Like when they fucking kneeled, what was that shit?
NFL.
Where they had
NFL,
where they're like kneeling and
or,
shit. It's
or
like,
you could even argue with the women's national team, but I'll go after you for your thing.
But it's like, it's just this whole pony show about, let me just show that I care. Let me show that I care, instead of putting any actual effort and money and dollars into it. That's why I say two wings of the same fucking bird, bro. They're all corrupt. It's all about money.
They're all fucking pedophiles.
Hey, by the way, this is a great book. It's Cobalt Red is the name of that book that I was talking about.
Okay.
And what Cobalt does is Cobalt. Where's that? God damn it. It's the essential it's the essential component in rechargeable batteries, right? So in order to make a lithium battery rechargeable, so your electric car to be able to plug in, your phone to be able to plug in.
But once it breaks, it's they don't even advocate for you repairing it. It's done. They'd say replace it.
What?
For lithium batteries, one of the main things is they talk about the expense to actually repair a lithium battery. Even once it's done, it can't hold a charge anymore. They say replace it. They don't even fix it. So,
Well, you can't fix it. Like the
Yeah.
battery needs to be replaced, just like your batteries, and they're not, to that degree.
the-
But
for the expectation of the cost of actually to make it, you would think they would make the damn thing repairable.
yeah, but at the same point in time, like the expense has gone down drastically over the course of the years. Like I remember when Priuses were big with Toyota, people talked about $8,000 for a battery, and then by the time I left the dealership side in 2018, like I think they were down to like $1,800 to replace it. So like, yeah, that cost has gone down. I mean, that's still way less than replacing an engine.
Yeah.
You know what I
Because
mean?
of the slave labor that we talked about.
Thank you.
But
Lucas.
I mean, that is all a point to it though. Is whenever you're getting it for the cheap, somebody's still making that profit.
Yeah.
And it's happening between where it comes from and where it gets to the factory. As far as going back to paying $3,000 for a cell phone, I would pay $3,000 for a cell phone if I didn't replace it every 3 years.
Yeah.
And why do I have to replace it every 3 years? I have to replace it every 3 years because the manufacturer is in on it.
I mean, if you don't keep buying Apple, you won't have to replace your shit every 3 years.
Fuck you,
Get
Apple.
like any other type of phone.
That's debatable because the batteries do degrade over time.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
the cobalt goes low.
I mean, how often are you gonna need your phone though?
Every day.
So can we weave back to the weather and global bullshit?
Yeah, we can weave back to whatever you guys want. This whole thing got
Let's talk about
completely
the
off
Stone Age
task, and
thing.
I think
It's-
we weren't really prepared.
I did want
for
to
it.
add that ties in the minerals,
It's still
the
a good
weather
topic.
change and stuff. So Asheville got like assimilated by the hurricane.
Yeah.
There's a conspiracy about all the lithium stores in Asheville and mines wanting to buy rights in the area.
Really?
Yes.
I have heard that.
Let's hear more about it. So what do we got? Let's research it while we're sitting here live. So what is it?
Just in Asheville, there's huge lithium stores.
Yeah.
I think quartz too. That's another big one.
So while you're looking that up, I'll tell you guys this because I know a couple of guys that are down there working, a couple helicopter pilots that flew out there with their own helicopters. And my buddy Zach is a firefighter in Fairview, North Carolina, which is several hours away from there, but he's also out there with crews. And it's really bad there. Like the numbers that they're reporting in terms of even deaths, like they don't even know. They think that the death count is thousands of people there that they
You're talking
haven't
about
even
Helene?
found yet. Yeah, from Helene. Just as a FYI. So conspiracies aside, like it is much worse there. Like there are still neighborhoods that they haven't even gotten into yet to survey damage and people that are just missing right now. And the numbers are in the thousands.
Well, isn't the water still receding? So they're
yeah.
still finding out.
Yep.
You know,
Well,
It's an election year. I mean, they're going to twist it to whatever they want for whatever they want their narrative to be.
well, I don't even think it's that. I mean, you're talking about an area, I guess, at the holler, right? Like, so like people don't have calls, they don't have email, they don't have all this stuff to be able to contact. So we don't know who's out there who needs help, who doesn't need help. And at this point, some of them have been stranded for 3 weeks. So you start running out of food supplies, you start running out, like there's just so many other things. And if you're injured at all or hurt at all and nobody can get to you, I didn't even realize this. I guess the bridge on 40 actually got completely fucking wiped out.
Yep.
So like it eliminates one way into that area altogether. I just had a client of mine the other day telling me like, yeah, I had to go out of my way to go there. He lived in Cincinnati. It's like usually we just take 40 right through and it's like completely wiped out too. The bridges are completely gone. So I mean, yeah, that stuff definitely going to affect the way that place operates for a long time. Little bit, little lot.
Nah, don't give him too much.
Little lot.
Y'all
lot.
heard that last episode that we had, right?
The last 30 minutes was
has
cool.
a limit.
That's
Hey,
good.
leave
Hey,
the
what are you
rest for
pouring
David.
again?
That's
You wanna
what-
share
Leave the
what you're
rest for
pouring?
David.
Ah, you want
No,
that
no,
cash?
man, have at it. Have at it.
He said
That's
okay.
plenty. That's plenty. Guess we should have went with a half gallon again.
Honestly
I mean, the good news is we're gonna have a good time tonight afterwards.
debatable.
It's probably gonna be
Some
like
of us are going to have a good time.
it's probably gonna be Wednesday before I get this podcast online after this weekend.
But while we have a little space and we talk about our sponsors at Standard Proof Whiskey,
Potential sponsors.
potential sponsors.
We have no sponsors.
thanks, Dave.
People are this episode right here.
Sponsor
Honestly,
us.
people are not
Please.
sponsoring this episode.
We talk about how we allow or instill these other countries to do as they do in their immoral practices and still see it on ourselves. Slavery, very much so.
Why'd you look at me when you said
Why'd you
that?
go that
I
way?
was down just right now as you and David were talking about.
You really just like zoned in. You said slavery with a hard R.
There is an R in slavery. You're right. So, but
Crazy.
But with the women's national team for soccer, talking about like they complained about how much they were underpaid, but they have so many less people to compete against and less revenue. And one of the main countries that we do allow to do what they want, essentially, is Saudi Arabia, where they treat women as second-class citizens, if that. So it's weird how we look for a evil to fight in this country, and instead of looking externally, we look way too internally on something. And I'm not saying there aren't things that need corrected. I am simply stating that there are things we should be looking overseas more if we're really the world police. Team America, fuck yeah.
America, fuck yeah.
Books. But
Taco Bell.
But I mean, we can always do better. And I'm not saying there isn't racism or sexism that doesn't exist. I'm simply saying that
This is the wrong episode for that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. But my point, rolling it back when we had that earlier.
So we should or should not have Saudi Arabia on our spin wheel, is what you're saying.
I would not.
Do
go
they wear
Saudi
burqas?
Arabia.
Do they wear burqas?
Wait, what?
Do they wear burqas?
Why does that matter?
Because I can't tell
Can't tell what.
what they're gonna look like.
It's a mystery.
They
And
all
also, do you see what I'm dressed as? This would not go well. I will dress like this there.
I'll be honest. I'm looking at myself in the mirror or the camera on the lens, and I'm like,
you're
look like
dressed
I'm in
as a
hospital
nurse.
gown. Well, you could not tell. In fact, look at this,
You're a Spartan.
Hey, yo.
bro. Like I'm like, God, I look.
Matching
You look
headphones.
like
I
fucking
literally
lunch
look
lady,
like I'm
bro.
wearing a fucking hospital gown. Neck's all stretched out. Look at fucking.
I still think David should have gone as a rapper. Should have gone on Suge Knight because then it would have been night. That would have been amazing.
Wait, yeah, Suge Knight.
Oh,
That's what I thought you were originally. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Bro, next year.
It's the whiskey man. It comes with good ideas for me.
Thursday.
That's good. I have guns. What else did he do?
He gave people HIV.
Oh yeah, I can't do
I thought
that.
that was Fauci.
Yeah.
How about that conspiracy theory, bro?
No. I'm down with the slow. COVID's next. I'm down. Let's go.
How about that conspiracy?
Wait,
theory?
wait,
So,
wait, wait,
do
wait,
you know,
wait,
like,
wait. Weather. We gotta finish
That's wrap
weather.
up rather than go to COVID.
Yeah, we didn't
We-
get David's
let's go to
review on
COVID
the
next.
list.
We've got to talk weather, and then we should go into that.
Hey,
But-
listen, I already finished, man. We can talk about anything.
you always finish.
It's
first.
not about you.
So okay, let me give you just a little rhetoric real quick here. Is sorcery illegal?
It shouldn't be. I've been practicing for years, bro. I'm fucked.
Then why aren't you good at it?
all right, what are
I've
we
been
saying? What are we saying?
Bro, shut up.
How are we saying is sorcery illegal?
Why is sorcery illegal?
I have no
They
clue.
don't know what sorcery
Isn't like
Would you group
all
that with
illegal.
like witchcraft and everything?
Yeah, is witchcraft illegal?
No.
Depends on the state.
Is
Massachusetts, big no-no.
all right. How about
only
like,
if you're a woman though.
how about like mental telepathy? Is that illegal?
Does it exist?
Yeah. CIA like invested a bunch of money to like research. it.
When they did the LSD and the
Yeah.
mind control shit.
That was the MK Ultra, right?
MK Ultra.
okay.
Yeah.
This is not LSD.
Okay.
That's what you're taking.
All right.
You will vote
So
Democrat.
okay, so these things are not illegal, right? You know why are they not illegal?
I don't believe them.
Because they're fucking bullshit. That's why.
They're religions.
We think they're illegal.
Because they're religions technically. Because like
When-
religion is just like a spiritual practice.
So,
Spiritual
well, I
practice
mean,
is a form of
there
magic.
was a quote, and I say this about every religion, and to whether it's benevolent or not, technically every religion is a cult.
Well, no, every religion is a spiritual practice. A
All
spiritual
right, you guys
practice
are going
is a
off
form
in
of
the.
magic.
Okay,
That's
well,
all.
either
You
way, my
guys,
point
you
being
guys
is
are
that's
not
all.
even in the weeds.
Why
You
don't
guys
you
are
just
like
go with
38
what you were-
miles
yeah,
start
go
talking
with
about
what
out
you
into
were
the
going
weeds
with.
here.
We're playing footsies with me.
Let me just end up with God wills it, and then move on.
Okay.
All right, so what you're saying?
So these things are not illegal because they're stupid. Like the tooth fairy is not illegal because it doesn't fucking exist.
God, I hope
I'm sorry, fucking what?
So what if I told you that weather warfare is illegal?
That's sorcery.
That is mildly.
What you're talking about
concerning,
between
actually, now thinking about
countries?
That is mildly concerning.
Yeah.
You said
have you
warfare.
have you
like,
have
are
you
looking at,
guys
like, what is this under the Geneva Convention or something?
have you guys ever heard of the 1977 Weather Treaty?
No.
Okay. Well, let me enlighten you, my brothers.
Hold on. Let's go over. I want to hear. What is the 1977 World Treaty?
1977 Weather Treaty.
He's getting it,
Look
he's
that
getting
up.
it.
Oh, he says world trees are different.
I never said World Treaty. I said Weather Treaty.
I know. I was confirming for him. He was looking at world treaty, and he would find the wrong one.
Yeah, we already We already covered that. Did we? Yeah, we did. The ENMOD.
You sure about that?
Gotta try to find information on this.
Geez, the next
Fucking
thing you guys
pain
are
in the
gonna
ass.
tell me
All right.
Santa Claus.
Tell us about it.
Don't you fucking dare.
Tell us
Yeah.
about it.
Sorry, children.
We have children watching. We got to click that. This is not made for children.
All right, let's go. I already
Yeah.
did. Let's go for it. Yep.
Yep.
I can't
So,
find anything on
You
it. So
come
what do
at
you got
me,
on it?
Nothing?
You say Santa's
No.
black. I
What
don't
is it?
care, but you don't come and say it's not real.
1977.
1977 Weather Treaty. It's the common name for it. It's called the Environmental Modification Convention, the
It's actually
ENMOD.
76.
Oh shit. Oh yeah. Here comes Evan. By the way. Hey
You
Evan.
heard us talking shit.
Evan, can I see you with your shirt off?
Hold on,
Wait,
it's the,
wait.
hold on. Let's go back to this. It's the Weather Change Act of 1976. Is that what you're talking about?
No, but that may be something similar that led to this. But 1977, this was signed into the Geneva Conventions. So it is literally illegal to practice weather warfare. So I beg the question here is, so just like Santa Claus isn't illegal or sorcery isn't illegal because these things are figments of people's imagination. Well, you don't go and create a treaty because of something someone may eventually figure out how to eventually do.
So I do have a question about that because this would have been what, the height of the Cold War or the beginning of the Cold War, right?
70s.
Oh,
So
this is
toward
after-
the
this is after the Cold War.
Cold
No,
War.
Cold
Cold
War
War
was
was
80s, right?
89.
Yeah. So it went into
yeah, yeah.
89. I
89,
don't know when it
90.
started. So is it possible?
Toward the end.
I agree with the logic and what you're implying. I'm just wondering if it was possibly a Cold War kind of thing. We're like, well, maybe they have it, so let's not mess with it.
Like the moon landing.
I don't believe the moon exists.
Oh my god. Wow.
I don't believe your sister exists.
She doesn't. You haven't made her yet.
Whoa. Pause. Pause.
I did bring the baby oil.
That was a.
And if you listen to the last podcast, she will be autistic.
All right, let's get back on
Facts.
track.
You will.
Let's get back on track. Let's get back on track on here. So
That's
all
even-
right. So in 1976 is actually when this started. So they put this on in there as far as modification. Let's see, Convention on Prohibition of Military or any hostile forces using environmental modification techniques. So the ENMOD. That's what you said.
Yes, sir.
All right. So it must have been added in 76 and it became a protocol in 77. Let's see. This is like trying to find information on this is
Anthony, who are you texting?
Classified.
Share with the class.
Santa.
any state with a reason to believe that any other state is violating the convention may lodge a complaint with the Security Council of the United Nations. Each party also indicates to assist any state party controller request. I mean, the idea that anybody's going to manipulate weather in order to create an environment, like, I guess maybe at that point they were starting to do research and starting to learn things about different aspects of weather and what could be done. I mean, there is truth to the fact that they're using, cloud change in order to create rain in drought areas and things like that. So it's not hard to believe that there would be some examples of them trying to develop it back then. However,
This is specific, as in the convention bans weather warfare.
Right, but that's still kind of what I mean. You see that now with like longshoremen, they're trying to get a stronger contract to avoid automation. Like artists are doing the same thing, where they're like, hey, AI isn't necessarily in place right now where it could just be a threat, but we see where it's going and we see what's happening now. So we want something in writing saying that, hey, you can't use this to replace us when it gets to that point. So I think that might be one of those. What? What?
And also, I did read an article recently, and I believe it was Times actually talking about how AI actually is posing a very serious threat to OnlyFans.
That's fair. I mean, can make anybody do anything.
so wouldn't you say that this is probably more in regards to us visiting the moon? And in the end of the at that point, the space race affecting the way that the moon affects the weather. So if somebody goes up there and blows up the moon to fucking create hell on Earth, that's what that was added to the Geneva Conventions for. Because I mean, that was all happening at that time. Space travel was a big deal. So I would say that more so that was based around that concept of weather, because we knew at that effect that the moon affected the tide and different.
Wouldn't it be also because the hydrogen bomb was being invented around that time, right? And also any nuclear detonation in an atmosphere, besides the EMP effect, would also affect the weather around that area.
Hydrogen bomb was in the 50s.
Still is, yeah. So I'm
20
saying
plus years later. But
any atmosphere detonation would affect.
Again, the convention bans weather warfare, which is the use of weather modification techniques for the purpose of inducing damage or destruction. This is nothing to do with space travel or anything beyond the atmosphere. This is very specifically. So, So we've got a good conspiracy theory here, right? Like, because my feeling about this is there's no convention, there's no treaty that says we won't, go and train the Easter bunny to, have rabies and then go attack people. Like we're going to have a treaty. We're going to agree not to do that to each other because we're civilized. You don't have any bullshit like that. This tells me that there is some sort of ability to manipulate the weather.
Well, that mainly says that there's a belief in an ability to use the weather.
Whether it exists or not, yes.
Right, because if I think that you're going to come in and, you might be waving a gun around and that makes me feel uneasy, I might make
There's laws against that.
Right.
Because that's possible.
Right.
I have a gun in my truck. We can make that happen right now.
Right. So then that's why I would say, we would make a rule on the podcast, like, hey, if you got any weapons, you just leave them outside. Because I just feel uneasy about this group. I know you guys go shooting, blah, 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 blah.
That's a problem.
Let's just make sure that we've got, right. So that's one of those things, I don't think you're going to fucking do that shit. Y'all aren't crazy like that. But, if I, whenever, just feel like, you're acting a little bit testy today, maybe, let's just
leave the guns out,
yeah,
right?
Hey, that way if we do get in a scuffle, I know you're not going to shoot me in here at least.
Yeah.
But...
it's funny. There's not much that is really out there in regards to weather mandates. It's funny. This is great. The United Nations prohibited using weather modification to kill or maim people. Modifying weather to cause injury or death is outlawed. For instance, causing lightning to strike an exposed enemy infantry is illegal.
So is God a criminal?
Could you imagine if you had that power? You're the enemy's right over the hedge. Boom! Lightning strike.
If you have a good
tornado.
enough, what's it called? Understanding of science, you can kind of make lightning strike in a specific area.
I've seen it. Once we have our video up and we can Google this, they can create atmosphere in an aquarium that's sealed off. You can create an entire ecosystem, including simulating rain and all of that. The audience, you guys can go Google that. So with enough power, because that's really what you're talking about. When they do this, they're just using high amounts of power and science inside of an aquarium. Well, the Earth is an aquarium. So with enough power, why couldn't you do that? It's completely possible.
So cloud seeding is the thing we were talking about earlier with Dubai, right? And obviously that caused a little bit of a problem. At all the rain they received over there. Oops, few too many seeds.
Little science experiment for you.
But a lot of adjusting weather is supposedly designed to deter things that are going on in the world, like hurricanes and things like that. I don't know. To some degree, maybe we can create some kind of change in weather. But to think about the fact that if you could create hurricanes and tornadoes in local areas based off. That would be against the Geneva Conventions. You cannot create war against your own country. So if you could prove that the United States, for instance, created the tornado that wiped out Asheville because of the lithium that's in the mountains, okay, well,
China did.
Everybody should go to fucking
China.
Fuck China.
China.
200% tariffs. Let's go.
If you ever back when the History Channel used to be good before aliens.
Back when they just showing gorillas fucking.
No,
right?
but
you loved that shit, didn't you?
Wait, what?
Racist.
Yo,
dude, we all came from Africa. It's fine. Relax.
he said show my 23andMe. I'm 2% black. I can almost say the N word.
What?
Wait, how many black girls have you dated?
All right, guys, let's back it off.
We have a real conspiracy theory here.
We'll make up later.
Let's black it off.
We'll
black off that shit.
We'll make up later. It's fine.
Did you say we're doing a freak
pause.
off? We can do a freak off right now.
But
Sponsored by Amazon
but
Basics.
you talk about the
Titty
50s
man.
when they talk about the hydrogen bomb, and this relates to that because I don't doubt that literally after World War II, a lot of things were being investigated, and they investigated some weird stuff, like making an aircraft carrier out of sawdust and ice. Like there is the technology that we don't know that was investigated or researched, probably weather warfare. It's out there. And I mean, many times they talk about Betamax. For anybody who remembers that, Betamax for the technology is we went the opposite direction of where Betamax, because Betamax at the time was actually more technologically advanced and better for sounding than what eventually took us to DVDs and Blu-ray where we're at.
Don't forget VHS, bro.
That's what killed Betamax.
Yeah.
Yes, but
distribution.
But the
market
thing
for
is,
that.
it's the branch not taken. There's so many things that were researched that have
Looking good, my dude.
potentials.
Just saw you back there. Are you even in the picture? Like, all I can see is your hairy ass chest.
Oh,
No, those are the feathers. Oh wait, no, that actually is his
Oh,
chest.
there
he is.
Oh, wait, hold on. By the way, Evan, I called you super gay, by the way, earlier. And Will felt some type of way about it.
I didn't feel any type of way about
So I
it.
just wanted to say that to your face.
I just said, are we sure we calling that out? That he said that Evan was going to come out of the closet this year.
I said if we surprised, we became gay.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. My brother's gay.
I said Sean.
Oh, see, you see how he said that shit, and he looked
Definitely,
at me.
he's
he
pretty
felt
excited
I
about
felt
that.
Yeah.
Evan, can you
You've seen your brother in the same
Evan, I'm going to need you to duck down.
Right there.
It's more weird that he called you a cracker.
Evan, I'm going to need
That's
you
what
to
I thought
duck
was
down
offensive.
because not everybody wants to look at your hairy chest.
The gay apple doesn't fall far from the brother or
Yeah.
something like that.
Just
That's
like get on
also
your
in the
knees.
Geneva Conventions.
Whoa, yo. To quote
Yeah,
this
he's
one
he's
black
very
guy,
good at
though,
getting
yo.
on his knees. By the way,
Could
that's
you
why he
imagine
went
dressing
straight
like
into
this
position.
in like the fucking whatever 1300s, like fucking got chain link fucking. I mean, like
I don't think they
Santa
wore
Claus.
around.
sounds like my pocket after freaking going to the car wash.
Wait, what car wash are you going to that you're using change?
Almost all of them, dude. The squirty worm up the road.
What?
It's called the squirty worm.
The
Don't
squirty
judge.
collar.
Bro, you have a driveway. Just wash your car in the driveway.
No, dude, I got well water, bro. That shit leaves water spots.
Oh, shit, yeah, you're right. Never mind.
And it's fucking too much work. Honestly, it sucks that my fucking truck is jacked up because it eliminates like 80% of the car washes, and I do not feel like washing my car by hand. So like once a year, there's a little local company, car detailer. He'll come out, pick the truck up from your house, wash it, detail it like to the nth degree. So anyhow, I had him do it when we were in Iceland in the spring, and I came back and I was like, holy fuck, dude, I don't even recognize the truck anymore. I haven't washed it in 3 years. He's like, I could tell. He's like, I needed an extra day. I'm glad you're on vacation. And I was like, I was telling my brother the other day, I was like, I'm going to have to call him back. It's about that time again. Like, fuck. But yeah, I don't wash cars in the driveway, dude.
When are we getting to COVID? We've got so much time left, 15 minutes left. When are we getting to 15 minutes? Like, the COVID's going to take up the last half, and I'm really excited about
All
that.
right, well, let's
one.
talk about
Oh,
COVID.
boy.
Who thinks it was a fucking, who thinks it was a conspiracy?
COVID existed, but how they used it was a conspiracy.
How so?
That's something. That's a thing to say.
I think they highly politicized it to the fact where, yes, it was a stronger case of the flu, and yes, it killed people, and yes, it was very strong and can kill healthy people, but to the degree that they were saying, because I remember specifically, and who was Ohio's, I can't remember her name. She was not the attorney general, but she was the health advisor, and she was
Yeah, I
Ohio.
know who you're
We don't know. It could be 100,000 of death or 200,000 of death just for Ohio, and like fear mongering to the point where they mandated for many professions to actually get COVID vaccinations. To which I don't believe that there was a slow kill off where it made you infertile or had tracking devices for COVID vaccinations, but that was 100% used as a political machination for how they wanted, like you were forced to do it because that was a way of control. So I believe it was a real thing, but it was used for some purpose.
Dr. Amy Acton.
Oh, acting. Yeah.
Because she resigned, didn't she? About
She did.
Yeah.
She actually had to have a security detail from a law enforcement agency, which I'm not going to disclose.
I was the
'cause
reason she needed security detail.
She was actually pretty hot.
I'm glad that you David.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
I'm going to head to the bathroom. Don't look at me weird if I take the baby oil with me, though. I'll be back.
Take a seat.
He literally waited for his turn to talk just so he could do that. All right, here, we'll just take a break.
There you go.
Rest in peace, Alex Trebek.
Anyways, but to what you're saying, Anthony, like at first I'm just like, nah, man. Like anyone that thinks that, like, you're fucking weird. But like seeing how the dude that made I kind of came around to like, okay, yeah, no. Once again,
Johnson
not
was
saying
toxic.
that.
The
I mean,
vaccination
they've
was
always
bad.
been, and they still have like pending fucking
Yes.
class action suits about like their drugs and shit like that, like
Big
fucking up
pharma.
people. Yeah, that's a whole right, exactly.
Another podcast.
Right. But the guy that made the actual vaccine, or he has a patent on.
Are you talking about? He got banned off fucking Twitter and shit.
It was LinkedIn too. Yeah.
Yeah, what was his name?
I forgot.
Robert Malone. Was that what it
I
was?
want to say
Developed.
COVID vaccine.
It was the COVID vaccines were Johnson, Pfizer.
No,
No, the dude that
There's a
made
guy who
the
actually
actual-
started. I think it was Robert Malone because he was on a
Yeah.
couple of podcasts that
Yeah.
got canceled.
That was fast. I'm proud of you.
Hey, he's efficient.
Honestly,
But
Plenty of
seeing-
time
I
to
could
cut
tell
up.
you this stuff tastes nothing like baby.
I can tell you right now, it was Robert Malone. All right.
Okay, it was So he
So
what's it
Robert
called?
Malone spreads falsehood about vaccines is the first article that comes up from the New York Times. The second one is a factcheck.org on Robert Malone. Now, mind you, this is one of the creators of the vaccine and how it was actually
He owns
the
a patent for it.
technology and the patent that developed on how it actually attaches
mRNA.
to the human body and exactly like. So go ahead.
Yeah, so he owns the patent on it. He was the main person leading the charge in terms of creating the vaccine.
is this are you saying this is the basis of the vaccine for the other three companies kind of deal? Or
Yes. So
okay.
they took what he used after him and his team completed that process, and they implemented it. But they took him, and he said, "Hey, mRNA isn't something that you should be injecting into people this much. We need more time. We need more research." And they're like, "Nah, fuck you, dude." So he got like banned off of LinkedIn. He won a court case to because that was not just right, but like he.
Well, this what I was saying is, so we're very clear on, because we do attack Democrats a lot. This was also all under Trump currently at this point in time, was it not?
Yeah.
So it was so we're
Initially.
anti-government. Well, yes.
Well,
I'm
that's when it
simply-
started. Yeah.
Yes,
But,
I'm
like,
trying to make sure that we're not.
yeah, well, I'm not blaming
Yeah,
whoever the
yeah.
fuck, because once again, two wings of the same bird. I don't care who's in fucking office. They're all shit.
They're all fucking pedophiles.
But no, like once he came out and started saying all that shit about like, hey, we need more time, and then I see everybody else just saying, nah, shut up, bro. Like we're gonna push this and like push all these different boosters. That's when I'm like, okay, maybe we should take a fucking second, sit back and really think about what the hell we're doing here, because this makes no damn sense. You got the person that made the vaccine that you're using saying it's not safe, but you're saying shut up and we're just gonna sell this anyway.
Right.
Like-
Well, I mean, let's think about who it involves. It involves the government and it involves big pharma.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take a step back. Who here actually got the vaccine?
I did.
Anybody?
I did. I had to. My company
Yes.
was.
Scoot a little closer to the mic, Evan.
Okay. When COVID first came out, it was.
You scoot down a little bit. You see, like,
All right, let me kneel
this
down
fucking
here.
55-inch fucking screen so that we can know
I'm
where
a
each
little
other's
stuck
standing.
here. Well, okay. When the
Are you
company.
going skiing?
Oh, what's up? What's up? Whoa.
Here's the
Where's the baby?
We do a try.
So
with that.
you actually got the vaccine.
Yes, I got the vaccine and I got 3 boosters with the vaccine.
Holy
damn.
shit! Look
Yeah,
at it. Just
yeah.
shoot blanks, my guy.
And you
Damn.
have diabetes.
Yes.
So they were essentially like ready to kill you. Like, all right. So did you get sick off any of the vaccines?
The second one was the worst. The first one did not feel anything. I felt great. It was all normal. Then when the second booster came out, it hit me like a freight train. I was down for like at least 3 days.
So did you ever get COVID?
No.
You never got COVID
No.
that you know of.
Not that I know of, but they had to do testing. They did when you went into office, we had to do like a little like temperature scan to see if we had a temperature. Or,
Yeah, fever, which was
Fever.
one of the 200 symptoms.
Yeah, so we had to do that, and
You
then
have erectile dysfunction. That could be a symptom of COVID. We don't-
we had to do a rapid COVID test a few times.
If you got
when it
shot
came-
by a gun, you might also have COVID.
So
I'm interested. I'm surprised that you didn't get one.
Oh, I'm allergic to the flu vaccine. I can't get the flu vaccine.
What about the flu?
What does it
vaccine
have to do with the fucking COVID
Because
vaccine?
it's
They're not the
it's
same.
similar. Yeah. They
Like-
said you shouldn't get it unless if you have
Like how
adverse
it's delivered
effects
into your
to the flu
system,
vaccine.
or
But you wanted to get it, didn't you?
I would have.
You
I wouldn't have
would've?
gotten the boosters, but I would have at least gotten the vaccine. Yeah.
But are you glad that you didn't now?
Oh, I don't care either way.
What do you mean you don't care
don't
anymore?
fucking
There's
care
like
either
a million fucking health problems
Brother,
that they're
if I'm
seeing
gonna
coming
die,
from
I'm gonna
it.
die.
I know, but do you want to die because somebody told you to get something that you didn't need? Like a health.
How many
one of the
people
big
died
reasons.
seatbelts?
One of the big reasons Robert Malone was banned is he's like, yeah, I wouldn't. If you're a healthy 25, 30, 40-year-old man or woman under, you shouldn't get this vaccine because it will do more harm than good. If you're 70, 80 years old, yes, maybe it could help you from going into a long-term issue, right? But like people are shoving that shit down everybody's fucking throat, and that was really that was always. This is the thing that concerns me about COVID is like how easy it was to get everybody to do whatever they asked. Like people talk about. I'll give you an example. People always consider and talk about Trump right now being a Hitler, right? But I just want you to like thinking back to after that vaccine was developed, like they were telling companies to fire employees that didn't get it. They were telling companies that they couldn't hire people that didn't have it, that you weren't allowed to travel, you weren't allowed to do this. Like, I'm sorry, like I've never been under that much control in my entire life.
And the military too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fucking military. And I'm sorry, as a soldier, like when you're told to get a shot, you get it. Like, I mean, who knows what shots they gave me when I was in. The only one I know for sure I got was smallpox because I remember you had to put the Band-Aid on your shoulder and you weren't allowed to like take it off for anything because if you did, everybody's gonna get fucking smallpox, like because it was that contagious. But like when you're in basic training, like you're literally like line up and they're like
Air guns. Yeah.
and then you're like 17 years old. You're like, God, I haven't gotten a heart on in like 6 months. Is something wrong with me?
Something ain't right.
Yes.
Well, just think of the logic behind it. Is like if you should want the vaccine for your own health because this is such a horrible thing, right? Then why are they forcing you to have to get something that's for your health?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, never
there's
has
money
anybody
in it.
ever told me that I had to get something, especially when it's created by like 5 different manufacturers that are also responsible for half of the issues we have in the world today, whether it's drug addiction, opioid addiction, and all these different things, right? So, all that did was create a fuckload of money for big pharma and for government officials that backed policies that were based off of big pharma and the doctors that were administrating all these shots. Like, in the meantime, I had COVID at least once, if not twice, and like the symptoms lasted like 18 hours and I was fine. Like, so for me, and you know who I got it from? This is the funniest thing. I 100% got it from a vaccinated family member. So this Thanksgiving, I'll never forget, my wife, myself, brother-in-law, his wife and kids, and my sister-in-law, her husband, and their kids. Nobody had COVID. Everybody felt great. We go to a holiday party. And the mom, dad, and son are kind of throwing the parties, right? And it's just a small get-together. We're having turkey and whatnot. They're all vaccinated. None of us felt any ill effects. 2 days later, everybody's on their deathbed. Like my wife, she was on it for like 72 hours. Like, and I mean, like crying, body aches, utter pain. Me, I was like doing stuff around the house, and all of a sudden I got tired, and I woke up the next morning. I was fine. Like I got lucky. And I'm a smoker. I'm all the things that they say you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
But like to me, I was like, well, fuck. If that's COVID, like, why the fuck are people getting all this shit? Like, I'm not getting anything. Like, screw that. I'm not putting anything in my body. Now you start hearing about healthy people that did put that stuff in their body.
Right.
And
The main thing about COVID is like it mainly the things that nobody wanted to talk about. First off, aside from the fact that they're counting COVID deaths, that it just if once again like if you get shot and you go into the hospital and then you die from the gunshot wound, but you also test positive for COVID, they're going to mark it as a COVID death. The part where it really is going to affect someone with 4 comorbidities and more, basically like if you have other things that are going to deteriorate your health faster than the average person, this going to affect you more. So you have to have about 4 or something. But also the fact that
and we found out that one of the main things that they were doing at that point in time was the ventilators, which we found out later was causing like most of the fucking problems with people.
Shit. They just hurt people, right?
Yeah.
So in addition to all that stuff, nobody wanted to talk about the fact that the vaccines, they were just synthetic creations of the COVID-19 virus. So they're taking, and it's not even necessarily well made. They're instead of taking like a full portion of the virus, taking that, injecting yourself in with that, with whatever the fuck else they put in there. They're taking like somewhat of a synthetic part of it where they change one spike protein of it, and then they inject you with that synthetic blend of it. So then all the virus has to do is to change that one spike protein as opposed to going through this whole makeover. So that's when you start seeing all these different variations of it. Was every time there was a new booster, like every other booster.
Omega 7 or what the hell they're
Right, exactly. But everyone was saying that, oh, the people that aren't vaccinated are the ones passing along like these different mutations of the like. It's like, no, if you're gonna get COVID and you don't have the vaccine, you're gonna get COVID.
The equivalent to that is saying like everybody's gonna get hurt because of people not getting the vaccine. It's literally like you're gonna die of AIDS if you hang out with black people.
That's crazy.
Like that's the same.
Wait,
It's saying
wouldn't that be homosexuals now?
like other than me putting a race to it versus a decision maker on a vaccine or not, there's really no difference in it. Like we talk about what's created divide over the years. COVID was a big portion of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like
super.
you had a lot of people that were like, if you're not vaccinated, I mean, that you can't fucking hang out with us. Like you can't be around us. Meanwhile,
or masked up, like which if you didn't have the correct mask, even like people were wearing cloths over their face, like I'm safe, like. Bitch, that is a bandana. Like, calm down.
Bro, okay, no, that was my favorite thing from like the COVID was all the different memes from people like putting like buckets on their fucking heads and shit like that.
yeah,
Like, in
bro.
Walmart.
You're watching people in a drive-through with a
Bro,
fucking mask on in a
it's
car by
hilarious.
themselves, and you're just like,
Shit
what?
makes no sense.
Honestly, it's always done in Philadelphia at best when they had like a legit spacesuit, like they would do for they handle all the dangerous hazmat suits, and they had like why doesn't mine have one where I could put beer in it? Like, well, it's because my mom's an alcoholic.
Well, and here's a great example too. When you talk about conspiracy theories, I think that COVID was used as a way to get the government more power in a time in the future when they need it. So, for instance, right now, if the government were to come out and say this disease is out there, and you are whatever, you have to report to camp or whatever. If you haven't gotten this, or you haven't gotten that, like. Half the people of this world obviously will listen to whatever that government says.
Do you remember what they were doing in Australia?
What's that?
Remember what they were doing in Australia?
Yeah, I mean, it was prison camps essentially. I mean, and you're in a
we
country,
had that shit here too already.
Well, yeah, to some
Japanese and
degree.
Germans.
Well, yeah, yes, we've done it before. Yes.
But when you give the government that much control, it's not necessarily what they're going to do with it now. It's about what's going to be done with it later. Like those policies and everything that people were like, yay for because of COVID are still in place. So if you get, you want to talk about like if Trump's a Nazi, if you get a real fucking Nazi style person in government,
Act. You can literally talk about the Patriot Act all day with from 9/11 when we did the Patriot Act. Like,
well, it's the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
like,
I'm saying
fuck TSA, by the way.
Speaking of fucking conspiracy
What
theories.
I'm saying is like it literally fuck Bush just for that strictly, like because that's one of the greatest infringements on our freedoms that we've ever had is the Patriot Act.
And we act like it got solved because Edward Snowden fucking released it to the world that they were watching us like on our phones and our cameras and everything else. Like there's phones and cameras everywhere. I mean, there's security cameras in my house. They're not recording for me when we're active down here, but guess what? Fucking the government can watch them whenever they fucking want and tap in and have that Amazon and fucking Alexa and all
Dude,
that.
You can't see the Diddy
access.
tapes though. Like where was that?
Well, those are on actual hard
That's
disks.
right.
Dude, talk about a conspiracy theory, dude. The Epstein fucking and Diddy tapes. Like, there's probably 10 to 15,000 hours of video out there of like world politicians, fucking royalty in foreign countries, like
Comedians,
superstars,
actors, actresses.
like just doing the most wrongest thing to kids, to minors, to
That's right.
everything. And you're never gonna see anything about it,
Baby all over
because
here.
there's
We
people
ain't
out there with enough
going
power to keep you from seeing any of that.
We
information.
can't be stopped now.
brother.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Just stop, Diddy.
Can't stop,
What
won't
didn't
stop.
Diddy do?
Oh my god.
Who
But
didn't do?
I mean, but so going back to COVID though, when you talk about like the power that we gave the government to lock us down, to prevent us from going outside, to prevent us from being around other people.
I didn't listen to any of that shit. I did it.
I mean, I'm the same way. Like I didn't do any of that. I loved going to a gas station without a mask and
just
watching
kept
people
on
freak the fuck out. I'll never forget this old lady
Jesus
came back to
Christ,
she's
my
like,
guy.
I know you don't care about living or dying, but I do. And I'm like, you're wearing a fucking like t-shirt over your face. Like, I don't think you really care. Oh, by the way, you're 200 pounds. You got 200 pounds overweight. You got a muffin top popping out of your fucking top of your jeans. I don't think you're really worried about, and you're going to buy some fucking Pall Malls? Yeah, I don't think you're
that's
really
not
that worried.
everybody.
So to stay, I talked about it before, but I used to work at a factory. We worked next to a 600 degree oven, And literally, I started my job about a month before COVID. And when COVID happened, they forced us, or they had enacted that we had to wear actual masks with a face shield on top of our hard hat. And like first shift had 3 people pass out from heat exhaustion. And I remember specifically working, 6th day that week and hearing this, and I said, fuck this, and I took it all off. And my boss came up to me, my supervisor said, if you don't put this on, they're going to write you up. I'm like, fucking do it. Write me up. It's the only time I've ever told a boss to go fuck himself, because I was like, no, I'm not dealing with this shit, because who am I up here with that's going to give me COVID?
You should tell your boss to go fuck himself more often. There's a
Well,
lot
he
of people-
got fired from that job, so he
No, I left that to go work in Kentucky, actually, for an engineering job. It was nice.
Look at you in Ohio now.
I came back for you, baby. What's up?
Brother, if you want to fuck, just say that, man.
So
Are you gonna let him?
See, no.
David, pass him the baby oil.
Give me the baby oil.
Hey, yo,
That's right.
Go ahead, all right, leave me the fuck out of
No,
that
no,
shit.
you. It's about you.
No, listen, you
Like,
even
this
got
podcast is
Evan,
all about you.
Just
listen,
look at.
Evan can hold the camera, too.
I
You
want
got all-
everyone to just look at Nick real quick. Nick, say hello.
Hello.
Just so that the camera automatically focuses to you in that fucking crown, like just looking like a total boss.
That speech
Hell yeah.
where he talks about a woman giving out a sword from a lake is not.
Can you talk in a microphone there, Anthony, instead of like your?
Dick.
I was trying to get him to quote Monty Python and the Holy Grail. He's actually from that movie.
He actually was in it.
He was in it. He was in it.
Yeah, back in like fucking 90s.
No, 90s is when it became
shit, that's
popular.
right.
That's like
It was like 80s.
75.
My bad.
Up in
Hey,
his cup.
Listen, I'm a little slow. All right, leave me alone.
merely a flesh wound.
I'm being oppressed.
I was going for the Black Knight, but it was sold out.
What did you say about
Andrew, you heard me.
They all sell out.
He hard hard
When
that.
was Mighty Python came out? When did it come
Talk into a mic, Evan. Talk into a mic.
Just yell louder.
Hey, Diddy, fact check it. See when Mighty Python came out.
What are your guesses?
My guess is
78.
74.
I'm guessing 80s.
72.
69.
Nice.
It's the worst
got that
podcast ever.
I think it's the best podcast ever.
Oh,
You do? Really? Which part about it is the best? What is your favorite part so far?
Andrew.
Yeah, see, I keep telling you, everyone on this podcast like secretly
Definitely
wants
gay.
to fuck me. Yeah.
No, just Andrew.
No,
just,
yeah.
just Anthony. Just Anthony.
Oh, yeah, right.
Completely gay.
1975.
Oh, nobody got it right. We suck.
Oh, damn, we got a drink now.
I need more.
Cheers. Oh,
I quit after
we're gonna
this,
need
I
another bottle.
promise.
There's some Edwin Williams, or there's some fucking, yeah, upstairs.
People say I have a problem with being an alcoholic. All I'm saying is I don't have a problem. They have the problem. That's all I'm saying.
Boom.
All right.
The so the COVID and the control thing. Here's one thing that I just always found interesting and annoying is that the, let's say, pro-choicers out there seem to have been the ones who are like the loudest voice of you need to get vaccinated or you're going to kill us all. You guys notice that?
By pro-choice, do you mean like abortion, or actually pro-choice on whether you should have actually vaccinations? Because that was a whole argument even a year before that.
Wait, what?
I'm trying to make sure what you're saying by pro-choice.
The people that are saying like,
He's saying
hey,
pro-choice
you should be-
abortion versus
That's-
pro-abortion.
that's different.
I was trying to relate it. What he was.
Okay, sorry. So the pro-choice abortion people that may or may not have dyed hair colors or went to Kent State
Because Andrew would have dated them.
because Andrew dated them all.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Only if they're white and they appreciate his over 600 credit score.
And they didn't shower.
That's crazy. I'm hearing a lot of blasphemy coming from this podcast.
or is it black?
no,
Is it
God
black?
wills First of all, God wills it.
First off, I'm not saying I didn't do it. All right.
Which part?
Which the
Yes.
blonde?
But all I'm saying is I didn't do it. Probably.
She
Not
has
all
a
of
name,
them. Yeah. But
Should we
equal
call her?
opportunist. All right. That's not my only demographic. That's just one of them.
Fair enough.
There we go.
No.
Equal opportunist.
Equal opportunity,
Yeah.
equal choice. But it's funny when you talk about like pro-choice versus vaccines and like my body, my choice. It's supposed to be my body, my choice. I would assume when it comes to vaccines and when it comes to health and things
That's
like
my point.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ironic.
But see, once again, that's the same rhetoric where it's like my wife will fucking be like, God, I can't believe you brought it back to politics again. But everything everything today is around politics, dude. Like if you're on one side, you have to think a certain way. If you're on the other side, you have to think another. And it's crazy because the Republican side, should I say it, has become the pro-freedom of pro-choice, like live your life, do your own thing, not make it everybody's business, when that's what Democrats were known for years. And the Republicans were like, no, there's a specific sort of way. You believe in Jesus, you do this, you do this, you do it this way. And now it's like, no, I think that's changed. And the parties don't know what to do. And it's a mess, dude.
Yeah, I think both sides are very much so controlling, just in different ways. Like it's not like, you know, Democrats are more like, oh, progressive, like freedom, do what you want, and Republicans are more like, hey, let's keep to ourselves, shut the fuck up, mind your own business. It's everybody wants everybody to be like them, and it's
depending on what
toxic.
side you're on. It's
Well,
fucking teams.
I
It's
feel-
literally
well, I feel
like
like
red
both-
team
well,
versus
he's
blue
right.
team.
Right.
I agree with that. God, this feels horrible. I agree with him.
Yeah, but I feel like both sides, in their own right, want everybody to be like them. They want you to be free in the ways that they want to be free, and they want you to be bound in the ways that they are also bound, and they have their own mental compass on. But both sides are doing the same shit, just in different ways. Everyone wants to save the world. No one can agree how exactly.
Well, and that's the idea of teams, right? And that's the problem with the two-party system.
Yeah, it's
Or that's
toxic as fuck.
It's when you have two teams, you have to pick a side. And unfortunately, being on that one side's team means you have to believe everything they say to a degree, right? And I don't think that everybody does, but I think, like, you can't have a normal conversation with people. It's funny, like there's a saying, like if you want to go to war, if you want to get violent, the best way to do it is to stop talking. And really, it's difficult to have a conversation where anybody's open or willing to look at the other point of view, and that includes conspiracy theories, like we're talking about tonight. Like, you know, you talk about conspiracy theories like climate change, or you talk about conspiracy theories about the moon landing, or about what's happening in Asheville, weather creation, or the infinite amount of conspiracy theories that are out there, right? They all are really the reason that people start to think that it's an actual truth instead of just talking about something is because you get told you can't, right? The second that somebody comes out there and says, that's false, you're blocked because of this, or you can't talk about this, or that's completely like, well, now it's like, okay, well, what are you trying to hide? And then that creates like a divide where now like, okay, well, half the people don't believe that you're saying this for my good. You're just saying it because, you know, you're hiding something. And then the other people are like, no, they're saying it because you're stupid to believe this. Like there's nothing going on, like, end the discussion. Whereas, once again, ending that discussion or that conversation is what creates half of the issues that we have. It's no different than when it was COVID. You couldn't even have a conversation with somebody that wasn't vaccinated. Like, they automatically assumed that you were the devil because somebody told them that you were going to make them die because you didn't get vaccinated, even though the vaccination was supposed to keep them healthy, right? Or you're a conspiracy theorist if you think that the moon landing didn't happen. Of course, we were amazing as a country and blah, 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 blah. You're the devil because you think that it didn't happen. You think they're trying to hide some. Yeah, you're right. But then at the same point, in case you're a science denier when it comes to COVID because you don't believe in COVID, but meanwhile, there's no such thing as really denying science unless you're denying access to information and the ability for people to go ahead and create, tests and things like that around something. For instance, COVID. Science denying is telling somebody you can't talk anymore, even though you're a fucking scientist, even though you're an educational person or an educated person that knows
the vaccine.
Like you started, for instance, Robert Malone, like you created the fucking technology to make this vaccine, but you can't talk because you're not agreeing with the government. Right. Like that's science
they
denying.
politicize the shit. Yeah.
Like science. So it's like whenever we stop somebody from communicating, one, it creates conspiracy theories, and two, it creates fucking violence because people get angry that they can't just hear something, research something, talk about something, and figure it out on their own. And then obviously everything that we do in this world today, especially with youth education, is designed to like stop critical thinking, right? Yeah. Like nobody wants to be able to critical and creatively think on their own anymore. They just want somebody to tell them what to do. Yeah. So then they just fall into a
tribe.
Yeah, 100%.
Belong in a
and
tribe.
I think that's a big part of what social media and everything's created over the last 20 years because that's why you have people in their 30s and 40s that are like, no, like you should look at both sides half the time. Like you got to like do more on your own and come up with your own opinion. And just because you don't agree with somebody or they don't agree with you, well, fuck them. It doesn't matter. It's your own opinion. You can say whatever you want.
Maybe JFK committed suicide.
He knew something about Hillary. He knew something about Hillary, and he killed himself. Is what
I
happened.
mean, you talk about the number one. We didn't talk about it tonight because you can literally go into hours and hours of research and data that tells you the CIA killed Kennedy.
15 minutes.
Second shooter.
It was the driver.
The CIA definitely killed Kennedy.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
Also,
and
by the
why do
way,
you think
they
they haven't declassified it 60 years later?
No, it's supposed to be 80 years, and they also have done it 2 years ago or something.
Well, I mean, I just think that'll never get done because what are you going to do if you found out that the CIA was responsible for your own country's president being?
I mean,
murdered?
we already know the FBI killed what's it called? Martin Luther King Jr.
And numerous other operatives with the Black Panthers.
Yeah,
like Project
exactly.
Chaos was a real
And
thing.
they're also the reason why
Fred
crack
Hampton.
was
I actually was in a movie about that.
Yeah, but like there's the whole operation that put crack in like black communities as well. Like that was something
Tuskegee
that was
Airmen.
right, exactly.
That was proven
Tuskegee
positive.
Airmen, that was the whole thing. The bad blood experiments and shit like that, where they gave a bunch of black people.
So
syphilis
I don't
and
know the
shit.
bad blood because I know Tuskegee
Oh,
was
yeah,
where
that
they
was fucked.
personally infected some of them and allowed some of them to
With
spread
syphilis.
That's what that is.
with
yeah.
syphilis and to study the long-term effects of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah,
who
no,
had
that's
served with
what it
Valor.
was. The bad blood. They
So-
told them they had bad blood and they had to do tests to like control it, and they just gave them all syphilis. So yeah, no, there's a lot of shit where
we need our resident Puerto Rican Danny here for this one, but so there's an entire study of birth control that was done involuntarily with Puerto Rico when we colonized Puerto Rico. There's parts of Puerto Rico that we as white people, you can go. But
that's crazy.
the others here can't. The others, that's us. We're the others. Like we can't go because of how they feel about us. It's similar to how when we landed in America with the Native Americans, but like we have a history of this. Like our government has a history of experimentation on our own people. So that part's wild. Like coming back to the COVID thing, where just the people who. Again, they'll be pro-abortion choice because they've been programmed that way or they believe that way, whatever. I'll be nice. And then, but no, you can't even think about this. You absolutely have to take this experimental medication into your body and just not even question it. Like,
Well, and that's what you talk about. You talk about different operations that the CIA did regarding, and we talked about Project Chaos and stuff. So actually, I didn't even really learn about Project Chaos until I read the book Chaos, which is about the Manson family.
yeah.
And it's funny because it started out where this guy was supposed to do like a 10 or 20-year-old like article based off of like the Manson murders and how it all took place and stuff like that. And like throughout this book, like originally it was supposed to be a magazine article. And then, like, after, like, so many years of pushing forth the deadline, eventually the magazine closed. And, like, then a book took it, and then another publishing company took it because it took him so long to do this research. And it literally goes, like, 20 years before he released the book. From the day that he first started doing the research for, like, a 10th anniversary story in a magazine, right?
Yeah.
And when he's like, it's funny because like when you find out about Manson, like for instance, at that point in time, like days before the murders that he had, the largest sheriff department raid ever occurred in the world or in the United States happened on his ranch like 2 days before the murders happened. They were all arrested. They were all brought in. Questioned for like it was like car theft and all this other stuff.
It was
and
that
then
ranch they took over, right? Like,
what's that?
Is that ranch they took over near Hollywood, correct?
Yeah, and then they released them all. Yeah. And then like a day after they released them, the murders happened.
Oh, what was her famous actress name? They actually had it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Sharon Tate.
Sharon Tate. Yeah. So it was just interesting because like okay, like you just released all these dudes. After you caught them, like they're red-handed, caught with all these little stolen cars. They were like taking stripped out bugs and shit, or VW bugs, and they caught them. So then they release them, and then the murders happen. And then there's another fucking raid after the fact where they go back out to the house to like for something else. Essentially, the book shows that these guys were like constantly under surveillance for years and years and years, because it all started even before that. In the Summer of Love, when up in Northern California, Manson was like part of the CIA operative where they were like basically dosing him and teaching him how to hypnotize people and shit like that. Yeah. But it's funny because the way the book kind of brings it around is it starts to talk about things like even today we talk about like January 6th, or we talk about the BLM riots, you know, that occurred over the course of the 2000s.
Those are peaceful protests.
But
Fun fact, they're actually more peaceful than the protests during like the civil rights movement.
They're actually more peaceful than the HLM riots that are coming. The Huggers Lives Matters. That's going to be
Stop trying to
big.
get
Are they
t-shirt
related
made.
to the Cuddle Lives Matters?
So,
yeah,
but
huggers,
here, let me get
cuddlers,
back to it though, while
CLM.
we're talking about it. So while he's doing this research and he starts talking about like, you know, while the CIA was involved in like doing research on like different kind of drugs and stuff like that, and what are they called with acid, and what's it called?
LSD.
Yeah,
Or
LSD and different stuff.
PCP.
So they taught him how to manipulate people, how to create people. But in the meantime, he starts to uncover stuff like regarding Project Chaos, which actually occurred back in the 60s and 70s, where they actually had congressional hearings about it, where like CIA operatives, FBI operatives were essentially getting Black Panther groups to hate each other and create fights, and allowing them to even create murder and actually involving themselves in order to do so. And the only reason that got found was because back in that day, like they didn't have FBI headquarters, wasn't the same as it is today. It was like a building in fucking Pennsylvania that got broken into, and they actually released all the records and found out that Hoover's FBI was not that great, that they had operatives that were inside of the organizations and things like that that were creating dramas. So like here I am as an FBI operative inside of a Black Panther meeting, for instance, where I'm telling him to say, you know, fuck this, like let's go ahead and create an issue with this
Start
person
selling
over
crack
here
to the community.
Well, not even
That's
that,
how
but
that-
creating
well, yeah,
issues
that's
with
literally what
another
happened.
Black Panther company or you know, group as well, and trying to create murders and stuff around that, so it became power struggles within the organization, which then made them look like the bad guys. And it all feeds back to then this Manson era, is when they're trying to say that hippies were trying to tell people that the world was bad and like all this stuff was happening. We shouldn't be in these wars. And so how do we make hippies look bad for trying to protest against wars? We fucking
Outlaw the
create a guy
drugs.
like, well, we create a guy like Manson that goes out and fucking kills a bunch of fucking people, including beloved celebrities. And now all of a sudden hippies are the bad guys. So the book is fucking incredible, dude. Like you start getting into it and you're like, and then he fucking closes it out with, I had to stop doing research because it started to get into this JFK shit. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, I'm hooked now. Where's the second book? Like, make it happen. Like, I'm gonna have to wait 20 fucking years to find out what happened to JFK.
World ain't ready yet.
No.
Will it ever, like, that's what I say, will it ever be? I mean, what would you tomorrow if you found out that the government was responsible for killing a president and possibly assassinating attempts on other presidents?
World would
Like,
fall
what would happen at that point?
The problem is, I think many people wouldn't care.
We really
all
think
see it
that?
coming.
I
don't
think
see it coming.
you would make the people that already cared actually feel validated in it, and you might get some more people on it. But them being branded as extremists, I think it would start something, but not to the degree that you would hope it would.
So I would think conspiracy theory on my part would be like they don't want people to know, because the reason that until they have gun control, because I think you got to look at the reason for the Second Amendment is what? To protect the civilian from governments of tyranny, right? So if you found out that as a whole, as civilians, we found out that the CIA was responsible for killing JFK, and then we found out that the CIA was responsible for assassination attempts on a guy like Trump or Reagan or anything in the meantime. We found out that was all true. Like, do you think anybody would listen to the fucking government anymore?
Fuck no.
Random PSA.
I mean, eventually you would create fucking local militias and stuff that would be like, no, fuck that. We can own this.
Random PSA. You don't need bullets, and we don't condone this. But with your stimulus checks, you can build a guillotine for under $200. I'm just letting you know.
A guillotine. So you're gonna drag politicians to your fucking backyard and fucking
Okay, I am not saying
take them out one
I'm
by
not
one.
saying what we do with it, because that can be brought up in court. But I am simply stating that you
Cut
could.
pumpkins open.
Mark-
Everything,
mark my
everything here
words.
is admissible.
If they release the JFK files,
Oh,
ammunition sales go up in price fucking 5 or 10 times immediately after. And I'm talking immediately after, because they know that what will happen was people will start being like, you know what, our government's not what it says it is.
I
Ruby
think
Ridge and Waco. Think
I-
about those.
I think that we've seen a little bit of the hubris from the government. Like, if you recall, when I think it was during the first year of Biden's term, that he got asked a question just about Second Amendment, and somebody brought it up in like the constitutional format of, you know, this is to protect us from tyranny. And Biden just with a snark, he says, well, then they're going to need F-15s and nukes then because we're the federal government. Like, I'm butchering the quote.
No, but I know what you're talking about.
Right.
I know what conversation you're talking about.
I think that indication, and it's the same thing. Like, you know, if one of us or two of us get in an argument about something and our tempers really flare, you're pretty likely to say what's really on the core of your heart at that moment, right? When your anger is taking over. And I think that we're there. Like, if you take the combination of like all the control during the COVID stuff and where the world is right now, I think the federal government could release everything, say, yep, we killed JFK and we killed RFK Sr. and we killed Martin Luther King and we actually killed all the Jews. Fuck you. We're the American, you know, we're the federal government.
Yeah,
we
what are you going to do about
military.
it?
What the fuck are you going to do about it?
Well, and that's the problem with when they talk about this could be the last election.
Oh, by the way, too, we can control the weather, too, so fuck you.
Well, you know, they say this could be the last election. Like, if Kamala wins and you get another 4 years of whoever's controlling the country right now.
They say that every election, though.
They
And
do,
say
but
that about
not,
both parties.
it's
They say that
not
about
been,
Trump, too.
but it's not to that degree.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because we've already seen 4 years of a Trump presidency. We've seen 4 years of a Biden-Harris presidency. We know what we're going to get. You literally have a country that did all kinds of shit to hurt the American people, run by a 90-year-old man or 82-year-old man who is fucking completely senile for at least 75% of his presidency.
Yeah.
Right? That in order to get to talk to people like in a powerful set, in like the State of a Union address or something like that, like he was definitely fucking on amphetamines or something. So like if we're willing, like, what do you think the next step is? It's not going to get better. Like, I'm sorry for anybody that wants to vote for Kamala. Like, that woman can't be questioned on anything that she knows what to say. If she can't give you a robotic answer, like, she is fucking in a panic. And the reason is because she's not qualified for the position. And the reason she's not qualified for the position is because somebody's not telling her what to do. So once somebody's telling her what to do, like everything that she talks about during this, like in this aspect right now, this campaign process, goes out the window.
It's all sound bites.
Like, we know 100% that the Democratic Party is being run by. I mean, it's got to be run by fucking billionaires and trillionaires, or not trillionaires, but billionaires.
Yeah, to bring this back to conspiracy theories, but like.
That is a conspiracy theory. What are you talking about? What are you bringing back? I basically just fucking spit it out there. The Democratic Party is a fucking conspiracy theory.
Well, I was gonna run it in a specific kind of deal.
Both parties are. Fuck that
Well,
shit.
yeah, I agree. I'm just simply stating, like, you know, did she ever win the primary?
She didn't even go through a primary.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah,
she was
just
fucking
bypassed
placed
that
in there.
process.
If
Yeah,
I
it
was
a coup.
100%. Well, I wouldn't call it a coup because nobody like took over. They just basically
She took
took
over.
it from them.
It was given.
It was given. It was
over.
gifted to her.
I mean, she was voted as vice president. Already.
No, she wasn't voted as anything.
As vice president.
Biden was voted
Yeah,
as the
she was-
president.
yeah,
He
she was-
picked who he wanted to be as vice president.
Right. So they still voted for them.
They voted for him.
Yeah, they voted for them.
They voted for the old white
They
guy.
voted for them.
They voted for the old white guy. No, here's how. Here's you know how.
pronouns, they, them.
Here's look up Kamala's vice president approval rating, 2023, and it's below 35%. So you can't say people voted for that. Look up the fact that while she was in the primary running for president in 2020, she literally had to drop out before the very first caucus because she had 0% of the votes. Meaning Tulsi Gabbard, Robert F. Kennedy, Biden, fucking, I don't even remember who else was in there. There was like 8 of them, I think. All pulled out and were received better by the American public. Nobody wanted her to be a president.
First mistake,
at all.
don't pull out. Like, why would you?
Brother.
Nobody wanted her to be nobody wanted her to be the presidential nominee. She dropped out before the very first caucus in Idaho. So
Iowa.
then she gets in Iowa. Thank you. She gets picked to be the vice president because once again Biden says I'm going to pick a black
Woman of color.
Woman of color. And there's only so
You're
many
saying
options
she was
at
a
that
diversity
choice.
hire.
She was 100% a diversity.
So I think Tim Walz is a diversity hire now.
Definitely. She picked a white guy because she needed to get the white guy votes.
He's also running currently, or he's like the governor of like what, like the most successful state.
Minnesota.
Minnesota
Far
is
from the
not
most Minnesota.
successful
the highest
at
rate of
anything.
living.
Wait, what do you get?
They have the highest. What's it called?
Let's look.
Quality of living.
Oh, we're
Aren't they,
definitely
like-
fact
Yeah, I was gonna
checking
say,
that. They've
So
got the
just,
highest
yeah,
quality of
Minnesota's
George
like
Floyd
Just
riots.
a time check on this, just so we're like. I
It's
just wanna
8
know-
o'clock.
15
It's
more
8
minutes.
o'clock.
Are we at the first 15 or second?
We're at the
Hey,
We're at the fucking
last-
point where we went through the whole bottle. I got nothing left to drink, and I got to piss.
What I'm saying, so like the third
Oh,
15.
we're at the final 15.
Hey, Evan,
Definitely.
check that
'Cause we're not
camera
even
up there in
talking
the
about-
corner. Is this still recording? Tall one behind the screen.
This whole thing was not recorded.
Bro, I'm going home right now. If it's just
oh,
not
this one
recorded.
up here.
No, the black one.
Raise
The
us.
black one is crazy, Will. He's right here. It's even more crazy. Like, all right, what?
It's the only
Bro,
one.
now I
All
gotta
right,
fight
I
all
forgot
of
what I was
them.
even looking up.
at our people.
Oh, no.
Stand up, Evan.
Hey, my
Evan,
brother,
We
calm
ain't
down.
going nowhere.
My brother,
We
calm down.
can't be stopped now.
Thank
Y'all
you.
see what I
That
gotta
one
fucking
right there.
deal
Is that
with, man.
recording still?
God damn.
It stopped?
Andrew, you got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one.
Just click like on a button, over button. I'm gonna have to edit all this out. I just created all this extra work for myself. No, whatever.
Plugged in.
Fuck it. That's the wide angle.
Oh, the
Guess
wide
you ain't getting no
angle,
wide
yeah.
angle, bitches.
No fish out there.
All right. So what were we just talking about though? We were
The
talking about
G
That's a
spot.
great fucking question.
no clue, huh?
That's a conspiracy theory. It doesn't exist.
The G spot.
Not real.
That's not good enough. We should definitely have a conversation about sex one night.
It was a Japanese.
An hour
World
of
War II
conversation
tactic.
about sex would be great.
It
This
was
is a fucking.
It was
Bro.
meant.
I
it
got
was
I got another hour in me.
World War II.
I don't.
The Japanese made it up to tire Marines. That's what that G spot was invented for. It's not real. It's not real.
Anthony, you're single, right?
That's
Well, only because you turned me down.
Anthony, how many women are you talking to right now?
Just you, baby. What's up?
Okay, that checks. Anyways, we're talking
No,
about
he's
area-
he's
No
he's
G-spot
top.
in the asshole,
He's got a mini roster.
All right. What were we talking about?
I know it. I know it for a fact.
Shut the fuck up.
All right. Are we ready to wrap this up? Because we had a Halloween party we had to get to.
Yeah, we do. So
I have 2 parties I have to go to.
what is it?
One in Andrew's pants.
Walls.
Everyone's
Brother,
coming.
What is happening?
We gotta get. We need a producer so that we can go fucking live on the fact checks as we're fucking speaking.
But we're looking at what state Minnesota is in terms of like best states.
That's
to
right.
live in.
That's what it was.
Quick
Minnesota.
Yeah,
I
let's
mean, the
just see.
fact that they fucking allow tampons in a boy's bathroom is an issue for me.
Who
Minnesota
fucking cares? Just don't buy
Minnesota
a tampon.
Minnesota
That's a
has
waste of
the
fucking
Don't buy a
resources. That's just
tampon.
stupid.
Come
they
on.
have the
Then don't
best
buy it.
hot dish. That's all
What do
Minnesota's
you
known
get?
for.
Bullet wounds in the boys' bathroom?
Hot
it's
dish
Cool. Never mind.
and George Floyd. That's all they know.
And the Vikings doing
Well, you
great
said
this
you're
season.
gonna fact check.
No,
So
they-
fact check it.
They lost one.
All right. So what are we talking about, Minnesota? What are they best for?
Well, let's look at best states to live in.
Racism. And cancel. Open up, escucha on past you here.
Nah, he said some anti-Semitic
betcha.
shit earlier. We're not gonna let that shit slide. That's before we started the podcast. I'm telling God.
All right. Let's see if they make the top 15 for cheapest states to live in. Mississippi, Arkansas, Oklahoma.
Mississippi is
I know I said Minnesota. I was about to. Hold on. Missouri, Kentucky, Alabama, West Virginia, South Dakota, Tennessee, Michigan, Indiana, Kansas, Nebraska, Ohio. Hey!
Oh wait,
Iowa. All right.
IO.
So not one of the top 50 states to fucking live in. Top
Minnesota really.
states
Intermeshed.
for income. Let's go with that.
It's gonna be
California, New
slated
York.
for like that's what it say.
Well, that's not really fair because their pricing is so much higher
Right,
too.
exactly.
Highest household income: New Jersey, Maryland, Massachusetts, Hawaii, California, Washington, New Hampshire, Utah,
Just
Colorado.
name most of the places that have like
well.
insanely high living prices.
Right.
Yeah, all those places.
Yeah,
Extremely high
like of
cost
course,
of
yeah.
living.
It's
They do
Quality
have
of living.
10,000 lakes.
Oh, that's more than what was it 900 or 9,999 lakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they win.
What is
99
Minnesota
Red Balloons.
known for? What is Minnesota?
Look up
Steel plant
quality of
Great.
living.
Or
Best states to
cold.
live.
no, that's
be cold.
What does quality of living even
Wisconsin,
entail?
that's cheese.
In 2021,
The amount of people that have,
Minnesota
like,
had a
homes
ranking
and
of
shit.
21 in the safety category, but fell to 31 in 2022. I wonder why. And this year they've slipped to 32. Minnesota ranked 21 in economy, 11 in affordability, 9th in education and health, and 8 in quality of life.
Nice.
All right, so there's your
Isn't
8th.
Tim
in-
Waltz from?
Yeah, 8th in quality of
governor.
life, yet it's the 32nd safest state in the country.
What number?
32nd safest state, 8th in quality of life.
I went to
mean-
1,000 though, right?
I think that's worse than California, actually.
Let's see. Among the top 5 states.
Take me home, country roads.
Somebody talk.
To the place.
My favorite thing about Minnesota is hot dish. You guys
Did you
ever
guys
heard of hot
know-
dish?
Did you guys know that the halo on angels actually came from an old depiction of people being enlightened because they took mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms, and they'd see visions and they'd be smarter than everybody else?
The biblical depiction of a lot of angels actually is very terrifying.
Well, yeah, no, that's why I'm not talking about that. So the reason why they have the halos on their heads, that was initially to show somebody enlightened because they take mushrooms, psychedelics, and they're just better than everyone else, basically. So then that got changed in the Dead Sea Scrolls translation to the Bible when it came to, like, you know, depictions of angels and shit like that. There still are some really fucked depictions of angels in the Bible. Like, biblically accurate depictions of angels are horrifying.
Well, they can be essentially whatever they want, so why the hell not terrify humans? Because, fuck, that's fun.
Right, but that's where that kind of diverged, because no one wanted to look at a biblically, you know, accurate version of an angel. So they took that depiction of an enlightened person with the mushroom on the back of their head, and they turned that into a halo of light, and that's why we have that.
All right, quality of life for Michigan or for Minnesota.
What a twist.
Let's go into this. Proportion of adults age 16 to 64 working. They are about 5% more people working than the rest of the country.
Brother, drink.
And this is versus the country. Health, babies born at a low birth weight. They are about not even 1% less, but that helps their standing. Public safety. Public safety used to be fantastic, but since 2021, it's actually worse than the rest. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Since 2021, it's actually dipped below the rest of the United States in crime per 100,000 residents. Civic and youth engagement shows them at being almost 20% higher than the rest of the country in volunteered 16-year-olds who've volunteered. So those are the, I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Residents 18 plus who created or performed art in the last year.
What?
Yeah, this is the shit that, exactly. This is the shit that's fucking quality of life. Voting eligible population that voted in midterm elections, they have roughly 7 to 8% higher. Those are the things that fucking qualify our quality of life. Like, tell me how many of those things are irrelevant at all.
So no Diddy in Minnesota then.
Yeah, let's look up abortions by state.
One of the things we talk about a lot in
Let's see what that
statistics
quality of fucking life is.
for engineering was cherry picking data, and damn, did that sound like they fucking running off the
I mean,
cliff.
you just made up a bunch of shit that has absolutely nothing to do, in my opinion, with quality of life. Like, I'm looking at, like, things that you asked about, income. I'm looking at
The
cost
fuck
of
does
living.
groceries cost? Gas, living.
All right, so how about we
right.
wrap up with 9/11?
Oh my God! Wrap up with 9/11.
Let's do it, baby.
Wrap
Let's
up
roll.
with 9/11.
Roll
9/11.
Tide. Let's go.
That's
Like
not
20,
even a.
15
That's
minutes
not even a
max.
short. Brother, we've been
Jet
talking
fuel
for like
can't
4
melt
hours
steel
already.
beams.
There it is.
Hey, hold on.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hey, my wallet, my choice. New shirt. Check it out on the fucking guysnight.com
wallet,
fucking
my
shop.
choice. Oh my
Top
God.
15 states for abortions.
What?
Yeah, let's look at quality of life. Massachusetts,
wait,
21,000. Hold on.
You know what? That
Ohio,
will speak.
23,000. Washington, 23,000. Colorado, 24,000. I mean, just think about it. This is per year. Georgia, 32,000. Virginia, 32,000. Michigan, 36,000.
Tell me where number one is. I want to know where
I'm
them
getting there.
sluts are.
PA, 36,000.
Texas. I'm going
Maryland,
Texas.
38,000. North Carolina, 44,000.
Oh, we're going in North
That's
Carolina.
a poor poverty area. That's why I fucking love North Carolina. New Jersey, 58,000.
Oh, we're going to Jersey.
Like, that's like one of the small states. Yeah, Jersey Shore. That's why.
Oh, yeah. no pulling out in Jersey.
Florida, 86,000.
We're going to Florida.
So hold on a second. There's a misconception though. You talk about Florida being anti-abortion. They have one of the fucking top 5 most abortions in the fucking country. Illinois,
Don't a bunch of old people live in Florida?
90,000.
Probably
What?
Chicago.
Number 2,
Get rid of
New
all that
York,
autism.
131,000.
That's not far from here.
And number 1, the California.
Yeah,
fucking
population.
178,000 abortions a year.
Sluts.
Like,
What the fuck? How does that correlate?
Just kidding, girls. Love you.
no, but it's crazy when you think about that. Like from
Diddy
the
talking,
top,
not me.
from the top 10, you talk about 30,000, and then in the top 5, you're talking 170, 130, 90, 86. Like, god damn, that's a lot of baby killing.
they all could be California.
That was.
What is it?
that
How
was
is it they
clutch.
say you can't turn a whore into a housewife or a mom? Apparently.
Apparently.
It's because of all the autism. They're worried.
All right, guys. Hey, let's wrap up this night because we talked about a whole lot
15
of
more minutes.
nothing.
15 more minutes.
Nope.
You want
Nope,
15
not-
more minutes? I have to piss so bad, but I could give it 5. How about that Trump Rogan fucking podcast?
Bro, I'm still listening to that right now. It's
I have like an
interesting
hour and a
to say the
half to
least.
go. It is definitely. I'm at the point where they're talking about USC. Or not UFC.
yeah.
They're talking about fighting right now. They're talking about UFC.
Yeah,
and
the
fucking,
dude
what's
that Trump was like, oh, he went like 14-1. The one guy that beat him was like,
No, well, I'm past that a little bit.
Oh,
I'm
I
at
was
the
about to say, 'cause
point.
I'm like, what the fuck is he even talking about?
Yeah, well, he was
Don't
talking
spoil it
about.
for the rest of
No,
us.
I know, but like even Joe was like,
I won't listen to it,
what?
it's fine.
Who are you talking about?
Sarcasm.
Yeah, I don't know who he was talking about, but I mean, if you listen past that, when he starts talking about individual fighters and stuff like that, he obviously has done a little bit or knows a little bit about it. But that show right now on YouTube alone, not counting Spotify, how many views do you think it has?
Millions, like 15 million.
21 million. Hasn't even been out for 24 hours. It's been out 22 hours. It's already surpassed 21 million views. And then you have like podcast clips that are like just like 2 minutes here, 6 minutes here, which these are ones that I can't wait to get to because it talks about JFK files and the UFOs and it talks about the military in World War III and avoiding it. And those are fucking 616,000 views, 800,000 views, 1.4 million views. Like Joe Rogan just fucking made so much fucking money today.
Clearly,
Like,
fear is not a factor for you.
Oh my god.
What's that? Oh yeah.
You should have quit after the California girls one. You were doing so good.
That was such a high.
It's still great. It's pretty great.
All right. Well,
So we're not going to talk about 9/11 then.
God, no.
dude, we
brother,
should have
we
brought
would
that
be-
up like an hour ago.
I know,
bro.
but we were talking about frogs and shit.
Next
20.
episode.
In Minnesota.
Next episode,
Guys, night
Separate.
All right, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night, everybody.
Night, love you.
Fuck off.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Let's go get fucked up.
Let's go.